Okay, what is up, everybody? We are back with some more Invokers. I hope you guys are having a great day. It is currently, what time is it for me? 10 a.m. So we're streaming a little bit earlier today because I actually have a lot of work to do video wise today. So I was like, let me get the stream out of the way so that I can actually cook up some content later. But either way, man, if you guys are here for the first time or you're returning, make sure you guys like the stream. I would appreciate that. We are streaming on both YouTube and Twitch, so pick your poison. But either way, we're just gonna be grinding more on the new account. I might do some stuff on my main account. It's one of those things where it's like once you get to a point where you're like at that end game, like you start to do like 15, 16 stages. I'm saving, like, so I'm not doing nothing crazy, but we can still talk about some things. But either way, let's see what's going on. Yo, what's good, Lonzo? How you doing, bro? Let me see real quick. Let me see what my auto repeats on right now. Okay, so that's not bad. Yeah, we're starting to actually save on this account too. Considering the first legendary we got was Matesu, I'm starting to save now on this account, which, it's fine. It's fine at this point because Matesu early is actually like really strong. The only other thing that could be kind of crazy, and it's funny because somebody was mentioning it in the Discord, was if you get Nerval early. Like if you get Nerval early, like you just get to be a god. Like she's so good. All right, so I think right now though, as far as what we're currently working on, I decided to actually work on this character here, Elizabeth. She has a pretty good modifier for her skill 2. So that with the crit damage up buff, I'm going to use that as she'll be my fire DPS, I guess, for most things. Because right now I have Bullets, and once you get to a certain point in tower, he's not going to cut it as far as doing damage. So yeah, that's kind of that. Eventually too, that's the other thing. Like in endgame, I feel like I use tanks a little bit more in PvP than I do in PvE. I would say like PvP, it's basically required to have a tank, like, and specifically a taunt tank. Like you want to have a taunt tank. But in like PvE, a lot of the times that tank kind of disappears. I'm gonna be real. Like, it's like unless the tank, like again, I think maybe mechanically they might have some stuff where we might need tanks a little bit more. But even like if you're doing like Coltimos, where you literally need to use range characters. Like I'm not running an extra tank. I want another range character there. And then like most things is like if I could just DPS it down, I'm not using a tank. Versus like in PvP, you kind of need a taunt tank or somebody that's able to kind of aggro that damage so that your damage dealers in the back don't die, right? Like you want to be able to control that fight as much as possible. So taunt tanks are like really strong, like Skolos, Kyoze. Those dudes are like super strong. I mean, they're good in PvE and PvP, but like the difference with those tanks too is they actually do a lot more damage too. So some people are probably running around with like Skoloses right now on the start, and they're getting carried because he actually does a fair amount of damage too. You said how far am I in Insane? Right now, I'm still in what's it called? The first chapter. The reason why is because it's really no point in me trying to, like, people that are like trying to hard push Insane, there's like no point. You need to start worrying about like getting, again, it's like, yeah, there's point if you're trying to get like the runes and stuff, but to be fair, your account has, like, you got to start building stuff more, because Insane like people are just starting to see it, but Insane has a crazy power spike. Like you start going from like, okay, this seems a little manageable, to, oh shoot, my characters just are standing there existing and they're getting one tapped. Like there's definitely a crazy power spike, and I think you feel that probably it's like maybe as early as like chapter 4 maybe. But yeah, it's a pretty big power spike. So like most people don't like just go straight through. I mean, it might even be earlier for some people depending on what you have, but Yeah, you don't just go straight through insane and just beat it. Um, is it marginal? How you doing, fam? Um, it said loving your content. Yo, I appreciate that. I appreciate you for coming by. It said good afternoon from the Netherlands. Yo, shout out to the Netherlands. It said love your content in this game. No, I appreciate that. You said you got beat up in chapter 2. You said nah, I'm good. Yeah, like this is why I also like when I was kind of thinking about like starter, that also might be a thing too. Like you don't really get to get the full investment. Like granted, Danos is extremely strong, but it does take a little bit of time to get to his insane chapter to get the better drops. Cause I think he's chapter 4. So whereas like Salissa's chapter 1. So that's kind of why it's like certain decisions just really kind of depends on what you want to do. But you said there's not many making content on Invokers, so I really like this game. Yeah, so there's gonna be like, so the game's not like technically global released yet, so there probably will be more people in the near future that's gonna jump on the game, and you'll start seeing more content creators. I'm definitely probably, as far as like the consistent ones, I'm probably the oldest one, to be honest. So I think out of content creators, I may be one of the ones that's played the longest. Um, yeah, that's yeah, I just kind of like came into the game. This was now pushing closer to like 8-9 months ago. It was originally I came into the game, they were doing a sponsorship. Because for those that don't know, I have multiple channels. So I came into this game on a sponsorship and I started playing it and I ended up actually really liking it. And so after that, you know, the sponsorship was finished. It was just the one video. There was like no creator support, but I really liked the game. So I just kept playing the game every day and I kept making videos and stuff like that. So it's basically a joke in the community that they tried to shoo me away, but I never left. So yeah, that's kind of that. But yeah, I mean, genuinely, like I really do enjoy this game a lot. I think the layers of it, like there's tons of things that I've seen even change, like from when I first started. Like I know like people are like having, you know, their gripes and sending feedback and stuff like that, but the game has progressively gotten better for sure. I know there's still a lot of tweaks and work that they're going to do on the game too. But like even from when I first started, like dude, there was like no new player. There was no new player anything. It was just you started and you had your starters were 2 uncommons. And you got your starter LD like Danos or Salissa, and then I don't even think you got Bullis. It was somebody. I think it might have been somebody else. Yeah, it was another tank. It was an uncommon tank. It was an uncommon archer, and then there was like no events or anything like that. Like so, it was. You were just thrown into the game basically. So the first few progression series I did actually took way longer to do stuff. Like it took me like 3 weeks just to get like the first 5-star, just because it was just base game with no events. They like moved around currencies and stuff like that too over time. The biggest shift that I feel like I've experienced so far was the adjustments to bleed and burn. That took my like whole main account. I had to like reassess my whole main account after that. But it was a necessary adjustment because it was basically all these characters, you know, you got hundreds of characters, but bleed and burn was so strong. You played nothing else. Like it was just like, if you don't play bleed and burn, you're just trolling. So they adjusted the balance so that direct damage actually performs way better than it used to. And so that's why you now have characters like Devi that's running the game, and she's just outright pure damage. Granted, getting her to that build it's pretty good gear, right? Like, you know, some people, like, you'll see that tier list and it's like, oh, Devi's top tier, which yeah, she absolutely is, but that's maxed out, skilled up, good gear. And I mean that's running her at like I think a minimum of like 60 to 70% crit with like 120, 130% crit damage on her. It's like, you gotta really have some good gear for you to have that, and then still have like 3.8 4K attack. Like, you know, like also part of that too is trophy room. So some of those guys that have those crazy builds, they got like their trophy rooms kind of developed for that specific attribute. So yeah, it's a little bit of work, but you know, um, you said you really want to create content for the game. Milton, start. Like I know they're doing like content creators signups and stuff like that. There's like no incentives right now at the moment, but it makes sense because the game's not officially out. You know what I mean? Um, but you said one thing I was struggling with. I just started a couple of days ago. I started spending a little money and doing some pulls. And how do you decide which characters you're going to run? Um, well, I mean, the best advice I can give, like for anyone that's like not me, because me personally, I test everything. I'll do these series where like each series I play it differently. So this is like my third time doing a fresh account. Well, technically fourth, outside of my main, where I'm doing a fresh account and I'm just playing different stuff. Like I never took RTU this far. Like I just kind of always threw him to the side. I was like, you know what? Let me just see, improve the point that he can actually work. So building him this one, like this chick I never built in any of my progressions. So I usually try to get to characters at some point. But I would definitely say like just asking the Discord, because it's going to be different to each person's account, right? One of the things that you can kind of just do on your own. It's like when you're slot filling for Spire. Spire is pretty much just in the beginning what you have of each attribute, because you're not going to have a ton of. I mean, granted, you said you're spending, so you might have a little bit more options, but light and dark, for example, are gonna, for the most part, typically be the tower that people have the least amount of units for. So you just kind of gotta, like, you're still gonna be using uncommons, like, right? Like, that's why I got, like, this guy, Chatus, is a great unit, right? So tier lists, I think they're great. They're great perspective, or I would guess say points of views when you're looking at max investment, but they're kind of misleading in the construct of what things leading up to that point look like. Because if we're being honest, and I'll probably make a video about that too, and that's probably one of the videos I'll do today. When you're talking about like legendaries and skilling up a legendary to max, that is not happening like right off rip, unless you're a spender, right? Like it's going to take a free to play quite some time to, I don't even think you're going to get close to maxing out a unit, like not even anytime soon. No, absolutely not. Just because it's a lot of grind, right? Like it's the awakening, it's the skill ups, it's the, the leveling them, getting your first 6 stars is already a grind itself. So it's going to take you some time. So when you're looking at like these other units, the thing that you always have to look at with these types of games is, depending on like what your price point is on what you're willing to spend, or if you're playing free to play, what's going to give me better value or more value right now into the long term versus what's just going to give me value long term. Because if you're looking at like, say, a rare, people are freaking out over certain books, but to be real, you can use these rare codexes. Like you get these way more often than any other codex you're going to get in the game. But with this, you have to look at then a legendary, the first skill requires a rare codex and an epic book. But by the time I get up here to, what is that, skill 3, I'm already using legendary codexes. Whereas when I look at a rare, I'm not using any other codex until like level 6 on a lot of skills. And even then, if I was to go all the way up, it's still only ever going to be an epic codex, which there are some rares that absolutely are viable in endgame, right? So the thing is that you're looking at like cheaper costs on skill books. You're looking at cheaper costs in awakening, right? Because like, for example, like one scenario it's a perfect example for this, right? You're not going to basically, for example, you're not gonna just do the max skilling of any rare, right? But like, say like for your light spire, your chances of getting another DPS. You said my mic is muted. Is it? Chat, is my mic muted? I don't think my mic's muted, Loki. Yeah, my mic's not muted, bro. But he said no, GG. You might have to restart Twitch, bro. It might be Twitch side that's doing that. But like Danos, right? So Danos was one of my him and Celissa. They were two characters I took to 6 star, and I actually put skills into them and took them up awakening wise. And that's because Danos is for a while was my only light damage dealer. Like there was no other option for damage. So it was either am I gonna wait 200 pulls to hope I get a light damage dealer, or or am I just gonna use Danos? I'm just gonna use Danos, and that's giving me rewards. Like I'm on stage 95 in Lightspire with Danos as my main DPS. Granted, you can fuse and make units like Kalis, which he absolutely works, but Danos is definitely a way better performing unit when it comes to AoE. So that's kind of like one of those things. So Kalis does work, but Danos, I mean, he's the spin to win, as I call it, character. So it's like scenarios where you have to kind of assess what you have versus what you don't. And some people are going to 6-star Danos, some people might not because they get lucky and they might get something else. And that could happen in any of the respective towers, right? So you said, so the starter is safe. It's a 60. It's already 60 my Red Riot. So all the starters technically clear in-game stuff. They all can do things in-game. That's including Celissa, Danos, Salanth, Calyx, even Malgar, believe it or not. He can do stuff in in-game. I'm going to have some content showing them, but yeah, they technically can. So they are usually going to be, depending on what you may or may not get in your account, they're safe because number one, they're LDs. So they're always going to be neutral in your progression. That's one of the issues that you'll kind of run into as you're pushing, is that you're going to have to alternate in and out your other damage dealers because they're going to have a stage or a chapter where they're disadvantaged, or they're going to have a difficulty in your climb through boss stages where they're disadvantaged. Like Red Riot is, okay, point in case, Red Riot is amazing, right? But when you get to stage 14, you can't use Red Riot there on Authar, right? And you know, it's not because she's trash. It's because Althar's attribute changes. So let's see here, Althar, right? So when you get to stage 14, Red Riot ain't gonna work here how you want her to. She's gonna be getting slapped, you know, like, and that's just because she's a red unit. She's a fire unit, right? So mechanically, she has everything to crush Althar, right? But that 6-star is not a waste, because guess what? When you go back to stage 16, she's attribute advantage. So you have these breakpoints where LDs aren't affected by these breakpoints because they're not RGB. And so you see what I mean, right? Like those are the things that you have to think about. Like, okay, where is a character going to have a break off point? Like you definitely can get away with it in some of these earlier stages. Like Red Riot's not affected by stage 6 at all, right? Like that's light work for her. But you might start to feel a little bit in stage 10, and definitely in stage 14, you're going to feel it. So then she comes back in relevance once you go back up into like 15, 16. So, you know, it's those types of things. It's like, all right, well, I have to have alternatives over time, which you'll build those over time. But that is just the nature of the game. You're doing that in campaign. You might have to do that in obviously different bosses. Some bosses, there's some characters that just don't give a damn, like Devi. Devi just blows stuff up. I've seen even Brandis. I've seen Brandis fight disadvantaged, and she's kind of crazy. I was shout out to Waffles, dude. His Brandis on Sakael 16 was just so dumb. He paired her up with like Raziel and Tassi, I think. And she just was like, I don't care. I'm dropping burns on you all day. Like, I was like, all right, well, there's that. So like some combinations are like really insane. And she's not even really supposed to be that good there because of his gimmick, but she still be doing stuff somehow. But yeah, I mean, as far as you see what, Lonzo, I'm done. You said, is the in-game tier list valid? Which one do you use? I personally don't use the tier list. I share tier lists. So I share any resource that I can that I feel like is beneficial to the community. But I don't personally go by the tier list because the tier lists are, like I said, they're good points of views and perspective for those that like to use tier lists, but I don't need them, like myself personally. So I just kind of go based off of like my own experience. I will say this, like for me, I have the humility to say like if I haven't played or tested something, I'll just tell you what I haven't played or tested. But if I have played it, then I obviously give you an answer based off of that. But so I never remember you ever do tier lists. No, I did tier lists in Dislight. I did tier lists all the time. I did my own tier list though for Dislight. And I did a monthly one. I did a monthly one for Dislight. I usually do end up doing my own tier list. But it's work, right? Right now I'm kind of trying to angle it a little bit different. Because right now I think it's not that the tier lists are bad. The issue it's causing is that people just think that because they don't see Danos or they don't see Salanth or they don't see Solnar or they don't see Bullis or they don't see certain units in the higher tiers, they're just trash. You say you make tier lists and you don't follow. No, I usually follow my own tier list, but I try to keep an open mind to other people's accounts. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's really hard for people to not make tier lists sometimes and not have extreme bias with certain things, because in these types of games you can have like playstyle preference and that can kind of screw your tier list. So you have to be very neutral when you're making tier lists a lot of times. Like, is that actually good in application? At what point is this more valuable to a person? Is this something that's valuable when you're at end game and you have the build to make that? Like if you read like even if you take like Mighty Zoo's tier list, for example, a lot of people are skipping over that part where it literally says the tiering is based off of maxed out, max skilled, best build, right? So if you don't have the best build in some cases, the unit might not be doing what you might think what they're being told that they do, right? So then at that point, even when you're looking at skilling up, again, these lower rarities still have pretty good modifiers with less investment. And you'll find in some cases, because you can push a rare, your epic a little bit more, they might outperform your legendary for a little bit until you can actually get the right investment into them and the right build on them and stuff like that. So those are the things that you have to kind of think about. That's why, like in most games, I would even say in this game, it's true. Like trying to, like, let's just say for hypothetics here, they gave every player 10 legendaries. You would have zero resources to build all those legendaries. Like you would have them. It would be cool, but it would be so much of a grind for you to build them all fully. There's just no way, right? So that's why even getting the one, you do start to see like how much more it costs you to awaken a character, how much more it costs you to skill a character. And you're talking about the quantity of gold crests that you need to get into like the last awakening. I think it's like last 2 awakenings, the gold runes you need, like the quantities start to jump a bit, and you need to be at a point where you can realistically farm that. And even guys in endgame, I mean, like runes are still one of the harder things, even for my account, and probably most accounts, unless they have like a ton of stamina. Runes are just random. Like you can have a run where, I say most runs, one gold rune might drop every like 5 or 6, maybe 7 runs. And then there's this one guy I seen the other day. He did one run where 8 gold runes dropped in one run. So it's possible to get a ton of runes in one run, but it's like the chances of it is like really, really low. So yeah, that's kind of like, even now as I'm saying that, I'm over here farming this, and it's just like I need more of these Magi runes right now. But that's the whole point, I guess, of fusing up. So there's that. You said, hold on, let me see. I missed like a whole bunch of, you said, yeah, Brandis, I'm using her there too, in a comment. And DPS. Yeah, Brandis is one legendary I do want to get at some point, because she's actually like really nice. And I also want to say too, Burn and Bleed are not trash. They just have a weird dip in scaling, and they come back up on par with outright damage or direct damage when you're doing in-game stuff. So what they did was they basically kind of changed a lot of the HP thresholds so that they couldn't get a lot of scaling in the middle of the game. Like in, I guess, like that mid-game progression, that was like to kind of balance out their value so that direct damage wasn't just getting destroyed in terms of usage. And then when you get back into end game, those HP values do shoot back up, so you get way more value out of Burn and Bleed. So Burn and Bleed is not trash per se, but it definitely doesn't have the same linear progression that it used to. So you said fusing up is so trash. You said let me fuse down too. I'm hoping to add something like a fuse down at some point. I was thinking about that too. Fusing up typically is the thing that I guess that and this is what I'll say. Most games usually, when it comes to grinding, they'll have a resource typically that they use to kind of slow progression. That's really all it ever tends to be. It's slow. It's just slow progression. So it's like the way of you being able to fuse up is nice, but yeah, fusing down would be cool too. But in a lot of cases, I don't think you would want to do that. To be honest, I don't think I would break down anything until like, which I think even like logically, I guess by that time, if you're farming enough runes to do that, you're already at end game anyway. Like, because at this point, yeah, like if I got a legendary rune to drop, I wouldn't want to break that down because the amount of runes you have to farm to actually fuse one up is 10-1. So like I've already done 26 runs and I'm only at 19 and this is in hard mode. So I guess it all depends on like where you're at, I guess. So I built mine on 120 AC, 160 combo speed, very important, and 50 regen. Rest is all bulk. Yeah, I mean, combo speed is definitely something that is pretty important just because you can't get it too many other places. But once you start to get like, I think the biggest thing is like once you start to get your relic or your trophy room leveled out more, your mediums of where you need to hit start to decrease. And then you can start putting those stat values into other areas more efficiently. And that's why I said, like, for a lot of those players that have crazy stats on their builds and stuff like that, their trophy, if you ask them what their trophy room looks like, you'll see their trophy room. And it's like they're not having to go the extra mile of hitting accuracy or going the extra mile to hit their mana regen because there's a certain cutoff point anyway before you have that diminishing return. And that's why, like, you still will see that the advice of, like, stats typically to go for is still going to be like HP attack. They don't have caps and they don't have break off points. So that's kind of like one of those things like where like if you're looking at trying to get a certain amount of combo speed or skill recovery or skill speed, there's a break off point. And if you're not hitting that next break off point, it's useless. So it's like, it's just the nature of the game. I feel like also too, once we get 6-star gear, those break off points will be a little bit easier to hit too. Because 5-star gear, I think we're in a weird spot too. We'll have accessories, which I also think is going to help filter out some of those extra stats. So that also might allow people's accounts to like naturally just be stronger because you'll have access to that too. So you said I'm farming Galvos, stage 8, 24 runs, 0 purple, 2 gold, 108. Yeah, that's Crest. Yeah, Crest even event, I think that may have been the hardest one for me. Or took the longest. I think Crest took the longest for me. Because doing, and really honestly, like Yaskara, I know they adjusted her, but golly, Yaskara, man. Yaskara just could take so long sometimes. But I really tried to like now I got more range units in Yaskara, so it's not so bad. But before, dude, Yaskara used to be crazy long. So yeah, Galvos, Hayeks, Yaskara, and I know there's another one, right? I think there's one more. What is it? Galvos, Yaskara. Am I missing a class? I'm missing the range. Oh, Koltimos, that's right. Yeah, Koltimos being the easiest, I feel like, out of the bunch. Galvos does ramp quite a bit, but Koltimos can be hard for people too if they don't have range units. So there's kind of that. But yeah, the crest drop grind is just insane. It's up there with the runes, to be real. It is. It absolutely is. The nice thing though, I'll say, I don't feel like I farmed nearly as much crest as I have any of the other resources, so it's not crazy. The runes though, you definitely got to farm quite a bit. Like you have to farm a ton of runes, dude. That and essence, like the raw essence and stuff like that, you do have to farm that quite a bit, especially the base one because that's used for every character. It says I'm putting you on Rodent and Uncommon that's carrying me and Sakaya. Are you talking about the dark character? That's a Stoneheart, isn't it? Yeah, I might not necessarily use certain things as of the moment, but I've been paying attention. Um, Hold on, let me see. Rodin, Ruffin, bro. Is it? Are you talking about Broden or no Rodin? The green guy. Yeah, he's a Stoneheart. I'm thinking he's a Stokus. Yeah, but Rodin. I've seen a couple people use him. Jabir also he also uses what's his name Rudgar too. This man uses Rugar in PvP, which is kind of crazy, and he's in a high elo at that. Like it is funny because he's the only guy I really actually think in the game that has Rudgar as his profile picture. Because ain't nobody thinking about using this man in nothing, and he be using Rugar in PvP. So it's funny though because it works. It absolutely works. But the other thing too, he has a taunt tank, so ain't much you can do about that. But yeah, Rugar, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Defense break. Yeah, he has a pretty solid kit. Jinx with Mind Worm. Yeah, I can absolutely seen that. Because that's very similar to what's his name? They just added him to the game. He's basically the uncommon version of him. I think he's an Eldrin. Think so. No. Is he not Turner? Yeah, Vagar. He has Mindworm still. He has Jinx in his kit. The only thing he doesn't have is the defense break. But other than that, he can shorten duration of buffs. Like basically, it's the same thing. And actually, funny enough, they're the same attributes. So these are basically the epic version. This is the epic version of him, I guess. So yeah, I paid attention. But point in case, Milton, you're right. Right? Like that's a character that a lot of people don't think about, and nor are they going to think about as viable in any regard. And that's the thing too. Like a lot of people, and that's why I mean, you can't argue it because people did it. Like people were running around with full teams of Chadises at one point, like doing Spire content. And you had like Reki, for example, is another uncommon. This was actually the first I did 60 her on my main account. And she carried me through a lot of stuff. Like I didn't think she was as good as she was, but her shock ability is actually really, really good. She has weaken and shock. And then she also has an AoE shock. So she's really, really good. And then when you think about like what that's doing, that's a damage buff or damage debuff that increases your whole party's damage if a target's getting hit under shock. Right? So she's really good. And so people were using like double Rekis. So that's the other thing too. Like if you get two of a character, that's not always the worst thing. Like in comparison to other games where it's like you get two of the character, it's like, bro, that's just a dupe. It's like, no, you can run two of the same character. Like my main account, I run double Nivelle. There's guys that's running double Devi. There's guys running, what's it called? Trying to think of some other doubles. I've seen double Colodon. I've seen like there's some double like setups that like just work because people are doing them. There's even a guy that's like gonna try to. He wants to do, which I think is a little toxic. I think he was talking about doing like double Virtuous and like double. It was like double Virtuous and double Nivelle or something like that. I was like, dude, that just sounds toxic. But it's a thing. So like. It's going to be a lot of different ways that people can push content that might not just be outright, I'm just building the same, or just one different character. It might be they're building two or maybe even in some cases three of the same character, which I think that's actually kind of cool that you can do that. But that's like something worth thinking about for sure. You said Valor Rodin is similar. Yeah, that's and again, though, it's cheaper. Right? Like granted, the level 60 still costs the same, but as far as like, even if you're looking at it from that perspective, like uncommons, like it does. I think it's a mental thing. Like, am I really about to put rare codexes into this uncommon? Right? I think that's the mental right on that. It's like, am I gonna do that? But like I said, those rare codexes aren't like, they're not so hard to get that you're like that it's just this waste. The other thing that I also keep in the back of my head which you're setting yourself up really well for this, is, and that's why I don't regret like 6-starring Reki, is the devs have already said that they were going to have content where it was going to only be uncommons that you can bring into it. And that makes sense because other games do stuff like that all the time where you can only bring uncommons, or you can only bring rares, or you can only bring epics, or you only bring characters of this faction, or you can only bring range characters, or you can only bring, melee characters. So to me, it's like, as the game is still being built on, it doesn't feel like it's a waste per se, just because there's going to be content where you're going to have no choice but to use them. You know what I mean? And if they're helping you clear content at the same time, then that's definitely not a waste. Like if you're in upper stages doing stuff, then that's not a bad thing either, right? You said both Rooted and Volgar are the right tolerances for Sakai L2. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. The tolerances being innate, and especially the one I always say, if a character, because a character can have like one tolerance, but which tolerance is it, right? And if they have any of the tolerances that help with like the stat with like stunning them, that one is like by far one of the better ones for them to have, just because that stunning a lot of the times takes away from damage output or stripping or debuff landing or whatever it is you're doing. So that, of course, then paired up with the fact that when you're doing like those tolerance builds, they need to have the tolerance for that build to even make sense. And the tolerance builds like are not bad. Like you're getting a crazy chunk of attack, defense, and HP on a full bonus of it, which is a 5-piece. So those are still really nice. And that's a way that you can get around like having to like level that tolerance up if you don't want to. So I just started a fresh account, got Falray on my first Fate Star. Falray's skill prio. Hold on, let me see what mine is. I think I maxed mine, I'm gonna be honest with you, but we shall see. Because I know Falray, I think she just primarily does damage. Let's see. Doop. So you have for her. And you said you just started. I wouldn't take any skill past. I wouldn't even take a skill past the point of using an epic book in the beginning, if I'm being real with you. Not yet, because you might pull something. You say you just started a fresh account. I wouldn't do that, because you could literally do like another pull and then pull a better unit, and then now you want to build something else. So I wouldn't even do that. I would say, and this is probably the better advice, if I'm being honest. I would say if you are going to put skill ups into her, you don't go past level 6. Don't go past level 6 on any of her skills. Not until you're 100% sure what your account's going to look like. Because once you start using legendary codexes on a character, I think at that point you want to kind of have a set that you want to use that character for sure in something or whatever it is. If you get an alternative character or a better character in that respective area you're using them in, and then say you already start dumping, books into them, and I just feel like they kind of can create sunken cost fallacy there, where you're like, oh man, I already did this, but this unit's better. Yeah, I would say don't rush to use your books, to be honest. The rare ones are pretty okay, which is why like when it comes to rare units and rare codexes, it's comparatively so, you get those like gumballs. But when you're starting to look at like, I would even say your epics too, right? Like you might still be able to just hold off with her altogether for right now. And then once you get a little bit deeper, then you could start kind of looking at pushing her up some. But primarily with most characters, combo attack is going to be really important because that's the primary source of your damage. That's like any damage dealer, period. A couple of characters that do have nuke abilities, usually ultimate is still one of the primary ones that you got to get up on the character. It's usually where the most value is. And then they'll alternate depending on the character. But yeah, I would say in the beginning, don't even go crazy doing that. You said, yo, what's good, Rasta? How you doing, bro? You said, Zox, I know these kinds of games are like Etheria and Raid. What matters are gear. So I'm hyper fixed on cheap efficiency teams, each dungeons. Well, yeah, gear does matter, but the nuance behind it is that like like, okay, like take for example, my account's like 11, 12 days old, and I'm already pushing like level 9 and 10 difficulties. Like if you're just doing stuff right, like it's not like that crazy. The fine tuning process is in game though, if we're being real, right? Like that's what you're doing. You're going to be farming better pieces. You're going to be trying to get the right substats. Right now, the biggest thing is just trying to get the clear, right? You're not trying to, I wouldn't say you're trying to fine tune everything. A big part of it, I would say, is before you even are really like, oh, I'm about to go ham and like, clap all these dungeons, you kind of need to be clearing Spire first, right? Like that is a priority. So like, unlike a lot of other games, which even when I think about like raids progression it's actually not Spire, it's clan boss, right? Like that's the first prio. Like you need to get your clan boss team together. So a lot of the units you're looking to invest in are about clan boss. If you're looking at Ethereal restart, campaign really didn't matter that much. You were they kind of had you a little all over the place, but really it was just trying to push, jumping right into as far as you could realistically, getting like the gear dungeons, getting the shell dungeons done. Like it was like, okay, yeah, you have that. But in this game, because of the currencies that you need to be fixated on that and getting that laid out. And then afterwards, your main team, for the most part, you really aren't even worried so much or concerned with tolerances as much until you get to some of the higher floors. And then at that point, it's like, all right, I got to start thinking about this. And you could think about it earlier, but like the main thing is just pushing up as high as you can where you can do damage. The stronger you get, you'll be able to do more damage, but you will get to a certain point. I'll say around probably like the 10, 11-ish area where it's like, all right, these tolerances are starting to lock me down. I can't do much. And then you start to kind of look at those more specific options. If you can plan them and map them out, then that's great. But each account's different. So like some dungeons you might need to do, but let's say you're not getting anybody with tolerances that are really good. It's not really much you can do. So you're gonna go ahead and just do, build what you're building at that point, And so the Spire is important for summon fragments. Spire is dropping summon fragments. You're getting, of course, obviously EXP. So a little thing that people do, they do level base characters in Spire, right? So they have like that one carry unit. They'll use like a random team that they're trying to level, and they'll just level stuff that way too. But you're getting mainly the fragments primarily, right? The other thing is the clear reward. And the reason why you want to push this is because it's skill books. Like, point in case, which most people maybe would pick light, right? But if you go through this, right, and you're looking at all the clear rewards that you're trying to attain, it's not just the fact that you're getting all of these things, but it's the cumulative shards, right? You want to be getting Miracle Orb fragments. You want to be getting Divine Star fragments. You want to be getting Radiant Star fragments. You're not getting these to drop too many places, right? If you go to campaign, for example, or even the bosses, right? You can go to Ogerum, and you look at Ogerum. Ogurum's only dropping Wild Stars and EXP and gold, and then the respective gear, right? If you go to Omnisci, EXP, Wild Stars, the Essence, and gold, right? You go to Pentax, same thing, right? So you'll see it's just a respective resource and then Wild Stars, right? Campaign might be the only other place that's going to be giving you access to a summon type. So this is why, like I mentioned in the video I made, them adding a tournament for campaign is actually a good thing, because this is probably one of the things that, like outside of Spire, gives you the most resource yield when it comes to summoning. So that EXP is the highest resource yield to EXP. So you're getting echoes for you to be able to take things up, like say starring and stuff like that. You're getting Destiny fragments from here. You're getting Wonder Orb fragments. You can get entire Dream Orbs to drop from here. You can get Fate Stars to drop from here, which are giving you anywhere from rare to epic quality units and Titans. So, excuse me. On top of that, you get the respective gear, which then also can be turned into either gold or memoriam, right? So like when you see people that's stacked with a ton of memoriam or a ton of gold, a lot of the times it was because they were doing a ton of rune farming, right? They were sitting on one stage and they were farming the runes that they needed. They got a ton of gear they didn't care about. And then they went and sold like 200, 300 pieces for whatever amount of respective gold and or memoriam, because you can pick whichever one you want that you get from that. And so you have that. Like I said, runes. Memoriam itself drops here, and then also gold drops here. So when you're looking at overall resources, like campaign is pretty important. It gives the highest resource yield of anything in the game when you're just looking at overall resources. So, and, even if you're not using the gear for selling it, it could also be a stage you're farming to gain gear to gear your characters with. So that's why I don't prioritize a ton of my stamina right off rip going into gear dungeons and trying to farm gear dungeons, because I get so much more value. Like, people are asking me, yo, Zox, how you leveling up 5 stars so fast and do it? I'm like, bruh, I be in campaign and I be in essence. Those are like the 2 places I'm in right now. Most of my builds, kid you not, most of my builds right now are campaign builds. They're not one of them, I don't think, are like really full-fledged from a gear dungeon yet. And granted, you will get there, but this is a campaign build. That's a campaign build. That's a campaign build. That's a campaign build. This is a campaign build. That's a campaign build. Like, it's a campaign build too. That's a campaign build on this unit. That's a campaign build too. Like, you kind of get the point here, right? Like, it's just kind of what I'm doing. And so I'm just kind of going through the motions of getting all those progress quest stuff done. And the power just kind of naturally comes too. So I don't think I have a single dungeon gear upgraded in my whole account. Yeah, it's like, and the other thing that makes it kind of like, that's why I said, like, you can get some crazy gear. That was the one piece of advice that I was given when I first started, was getting like your general builds, get them from campaign first, because you can get to a point when you're insane. That's why HP set, in my opinion, I think is one of the most valuable sets in the game, because one of the issues that you can run into is like, you don't have a ton of skill up investment yet. You don't have a ton of bulk on your units. HP 5 bonus, like, this is Humi, right? She's a damage dealer, but I have her on an HP bonus with accuracy. I'm doing that so that she has a little bit more bulk, right? Because there's no timer on like, oh, I'm in the fight for, X amount of time, I lose. It's like, no, let me get the clear, right? Because you got to remember too, I'd rather the fight take longer than me losing energy, right? Like, so that's one thing that, and trust me, we've already said something about it to the devs. So so right now, that is the way it's set up. It's like, if you're losing fights, you're losing energy, right? So for me, it's like, I ain't trying to lose fights if I can help it. I ain't trying to die if I can help it. So you can easily still build damage on a character, but still have the set bonus be bulk. Because if you go, like, for example, full-fledged attack and then say crit, that unit's going to probably be feigning, because that means that you have attack value on the roll for the main stat. The bonus is attack, which, granted, that's still not the worst thing once you kind of get past certain thresholds. You got shielding, you got healing, you got stuff kind of situated. The characters that need to have the bulk to kind of keep your team going. Once people get things like one character that changed my account was getting Nerval. So getting Nerval completely changed my account, because Nerval allows you to do things like having a damage dealer that's like fully fledged, built for damage, and it doesn't matter what happens to them because she'll just revive them all, So revive that unit. Sorry, she doesn't have an AoE revive. She'll revive that unit. You said my approach to campaign is diversity from an elemental perspective. There are 4 elements in the game. Punishes 1 for elemental disadvantage. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said, like, really at the end of the day, in the early game, you might not necessarily full-fledged build out every single element off rip, but I think having one alternative, like, say, for example, for me, I was running RTU. I knew if I got into a stage where he was disadvantaged, I would swap over to Humi. I'd rather it just be, and I think the minimum of it that you can keep it as is, I just need to have a unit that's neutral. I don't need to have a unit that's necessarily attribute advantage in every single thing at the moment, but eventually I'll get there anyway, right? So like, I just now pushing into almost a 2-week threshold, I'm just now getting to a point where I'm like, all right, I just did this with Alensis. I think I just took her up yesterday or day before. And now I just geared her today. But she's going to be my damage dealer for fire. But originally, the only fire unit I really had built was Bullis. And I had him running tower for me. I mean, was it fun to watch? No, it was super slow. But it was what I could do realistically, considering I was focusing on so many other areas. And then that's why I just feel like with the LDs, they're just always neutral. So you're never going to run into that wall of like, oh man, this stage is just unbeatable for me because I don't have the attribute. So that's what I kind of look at too, is that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like having the 4 elements will overall make your experience better. The other thing that's going to end up becoming, as far as you chasing more stars and stuff like that, is going to be challenges, right? So it's gonna go outside of the element. You now need a full 4 of each team, and then you need a separate team that might not be a full 4 of one team, but they can't die, but they all need to be Stonehearts, or they all need to be Nocturna, or they all need to be. So like these are like the other factors that you just have to kind of keep in the back of your head. Like I don't think I have of any faction of full, well, actually maybe for a full team. Let me see. Maybe I have one. Let me see. Freeborn. Freeborn actually might be the one I have the most of. Yeah, Freeborn is the one. Freeborn. Eldrin, I lied. Eldrin's up there too. No, I lied. Nope, Eldrin's only 2 characters. Magi, I have 1. Stonehearts, I have 3. Beastblood, I got 1. It's like Nocturna, I have 4. Going on 5. So I think actually Nocturna might be my most developed faction right now. Cambion, I got 1. I got 1 Iron Band. And then Light Seeker, currently, that's 3? Yeah, so 3. So yeah. You said water counters fire, that counters earth, that counters wind, that counters, wait, wind, that counter, oh, you mean fire? So good combinations, water, earth, fire, wind. I mean, like, as long as you have a neutral, it doesn't matter. Like, if you, as long as you have a neutral, you're not going to get obliterated. If you just go in there with, again, disadvantage, you're just going to die. Like, it's just, that's all it really is. So I think it's just not trying to make players bite off too much to chew. But if you can manage that, then that works, right? So, like, that's the thing with it. Like, if it works for you, then absolutely, like, go for it. I you know what it is? My brain, I know I'm one of those people, so that's probably why I just do my content the way I do it. Is the fact that I know, like, I don't like to be overloaded with too much or think about too much all at once. I can do it, but it's like I think about that. Like when a player's starting, like information overload is a thing that, like, oh, look at that. See, look at that. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm over here right now. With this whole time we talking EXP, echoes, you know, get some extra summons. Get me out of here. I think I'm done with this right now. But yeah, those things though, they do matter, but they'll start to matter a little bit more later into like insane when you're in the, I say like definitely like getting into like the upper floors of Spire. Let's just say it starts at like floor 25 and up. You start to kind of feel like, okay, I need to have these things kind of situated. You'll start feeling even like once I got into like, even once I kind of got to, no, neutral is your DPS, right? But what I mean by that is you have a sub DPS. So your main DPS is of course always going to be your light unit that you pick, but your 2 sub DPSs are always going to alternate in and out. I don't need to have 5 sub DPSs in the beginning of the game. It's just not going to be the case. If you're running Bullis, like again, these are the starter characters and a free one. Humi, RTU, Bullis, Salissa starter. So 4 starter characters. And then, I mean, shoot, you could technically still have been running Drovis. I mean, I don't recommend it. Switch to Arissa at that point. But yeah, at that point, you have an alternative. But your main DPS swap out is always, your main DPS is always going to be there. But your swap out is just going to be these 2, right? So yeah, I mean, it really is just depending upon what you want to do. But as long as you have an alternative, you'll be fine. The problem is when you don't have one and you're only running, let's say you go and you do something like Salissa, RTU, and then you do a double of an attribute. Like I could have went and did Serene. I've been cooked because my alternative would have only been that one attribute versus I got another alternative. So the other thing is too, is like to the point, like keeping it that way, you're able to fulfill other things within other towers. So my main DPS is Yumi for Wind Tower, main DPS for Green Tower is RTU, main DPS for Light Tower is Salissa, so on and so forth. So that's just kind of how I lay it out, just so that it's not trying to have you investing in too much other stuff, but you're also still fulfilling other things at the same time, but also still progressing at the same time. So yeah, that's what I mean by neutral. Neutral is anyone that's not at a disadvantage. It doesn't necessarily mean always neutral, right? So like, light and dark are exactly that. Yeah, so that's what I said. We're saying the same thing. That's why I said it's like if you go, like you said, wind or fire, if you do earth and water, it's as long as you have that alternative, you're good, because you'll never run into an issue where it's like, oh man, I got 2 earths, I'm cooked. Because one DPS can't, especially this early, they're not going to be able to carry it by themselves. So like, even though Salissa's great, she's not going to full send carry damage by herself. And even then down to your support, I highly recommend Drove. Drove is just trash. We're not even gonna sit here and try to make her better than she is. She's not that great. So she's just not. So she can do a little bit of something, but she ain't doing as much as you would really like her to. So as soon as most people get Orisa, that's your healer, right? Like that's 7 days. That's gonna be your healer. I'm not even gonna say her and troll. Now, granted, she does have like crit rate up and stuff like that, so she is a little bit more of a buffer than anything. But I really feel like at the end of the day, you rather survive than trying to buff stats that you're not even gonna hit the full thresholds on anyway, this early. So yeah, that's kind of that. But everybody else though is pretty all right. You said so Salissa is safe to 60. Hold on. Oh, this is sorry, I was getting a text from Miss Ox. But Salissa, yes, she absolutely is. I feel like out of the starters, I feel like the safest ones are Danos and Salissa. But any of them technically can be brought to 60. But I would say those two, when I'm looking at like progression, campaign push, utility, viability in most dungeons, like even into endgame, they're the two that I've like. Calyx is up there too. They're all usable in some way, but I definitely will say that Danos and Salissa are the two that I have the most confidence in. Mainly because Salissa offers you a ton of value when it comes down to group damage. She has those AoEs, which you absolutely are going to need. She has defense break. She has a lot of the core things that you kind of want from a character. And then Danos has a lot of value too when it comes down to hitting AoE stuff. He's granted, even just in terms of his overall damage, he does a little bit more damage than Salissa does, but he's great at group damage. He's great on bossing. Like he's a really, really good character when you're talking about direct damage. He's definitely up there. You said does Zox still do your pulls? Yeah, she does. You said, what is your take on lack of healers? Like are you saying like if a person has a lack of healers, or if a person has like I don't get what you mean. Are you talking about like the game not having enough healers, or if a person individually doesn't have enough healers? You said I use Drovis on my one-shot team. Okay, so let me ask you, who is doing the one-shotting? because what are you getting from her? Because the only thing really at that point is the crit rate up buff, which if we're being honest, it's like that. And I mean, I guess your attack, but who's doing the one-shotting? And what are you one-shotting? Because if you say you're one-shotting a level 7 stage, we're going to have to run hands, Milton. You said, you said in the earlier game. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. She's usable, right? But if we're talking about, like, outright healing, that's what I was referring to was her healing capability, not so much the other buffs. Because, yeah, she is more of a damage buffer. But yeah, when we're talking about outright healing, her healing is not that, it's not that great. Like it's okay. But yeah, if you get Sonar, Celissa, not Celissa, Arissa, those are gonna be your healers, right? Like stuff starts hitting you back hard too. That's the other thing. So so you said but yeah, you have to clarify though on the lack of healers, because I know that like the game, they've added more healers over time, if that's what you're referring to. But I feel like your account can roll different. Like there's some people right now, like their primary flux of units is tanks. Like there's some people that are just getting tanks left and right. My account's been kind of balanced so far. I haven't had too much of anything yet, but I've seen some people. Like I was just watching one guy's summons, and he was just getting nothing but tanks. You said the game not having healers in the early game. They've added more. It was worse, dude. That like I'm not even kidding you. It was like okay, so like I think I said it yesterday, but it was like Meldrin, I think his name was. So I think they're gonna still be adding stuff, because that's the one thing that I will say I do like is they're still adding rares, and they're still adding I think even not that long ago we got some uncommons still too. But for a while, like when I first started, this dude was the only low rarity fire healer, right? So if you didn't have him, it was like a thing where we had to tell everybody don't get rid of him, because if you do, you just don't have fire sustain, right? And even then, his sustain is like more based around regening, which, earlier in the game, that might not necessarily feel the best. And so, that was like a whole thing. And then they started adding a whole bunch of stone hearts. So we didn't have originally like Fulric in the game. We didn't have like even some of these rares here, like Orvaldal, is newer. Ruffin is newer. Belmore, I think, is newer. Riven is newer. Bryneth, like those units weren't here when I first started. Garnet is a new gem. So they like were adding more things. We didn't even have. I don't even think we had Thao when I first started. Thao wasn't in the game. Grauman wasn't in the game. Yes, like Stonehearts was like completely bare bones. They had like almost no units. I know Beast Bloods is probably another one. It's like, they're gonna need a couple of updates to kind of flesh out the Beast Bloods. But that's what I was saying is I think that they're still adding stuff, so it's not a problem because they're adding more. And I think that that's the nature of like a game being still in like a beta phase where they're still building it, so they're still adding all these units. And because I'm actually doing more game deving stuff myself, when you actually like see an update where they drop 10 units, you got to think about how much it costs for them to make 10 units, get them all like, like just rasterized and finalized to throw into the game. And that's quite a bit of money to get all those characters done, get them all, tested, to get them all like prepped and implemented into the game. So yeah, I'll give them that. They're definitely doing the work for sure to add the units, but it's just taking some time. And it's kind of cool to see each of the attributes starting to flesh out more. Because even the update for Devi, like I remember when she was implemented and added into the game, that was like obviously she's one of the best damage dealers in the game. Charvain is also newer too. So she hasn't been in the game as long as some of the other characters. So yeah, it's like Rick Lowe just came. So they're adding so many units to the game. They're still adding Titans. Yeah, I don't know when they're going to be done. And they did mention they have a whole 2 other factions that they want to add at some point too. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot. You said, have you checked out Godforge? I have checked out Godforge. I'm technically, I guess technically I am in their creator stuff. Yeah, but I have checked out Godforge. I'm keeping an eye on it. You said, he said you hope he gets nothing. That's messed up. He said attack upgrade, damage up, debuff, defense down, increase damage up for awakening. Wait, were you talking about? Wait. You said It's at pool with us last week. I think she's a daily login at some point. She's actually pretty good too. Um, it's set to one shot in every game needs the same element. Attack up, crit damage up. To one shot. I mean, with our current layout of roster and gear, there's only like a couple of units that I think can even get like remotely close to one-shotting. Yo, what's good? Amazing. You said, is this a game you say you were developing? No. No, this is not. My game is still, we're still working on the prototype, brother. I wish it was fleshed out like this. But how you doing, bro? How's everything been going, man? You said I'm using 2 DPS to scale off the number of debuffs. You said Humi and Rudgar. Well, that's the thing though. Like they even have caps though. So doing 16s and eventually stages are gonna go up to 20. I don't know. Like I can't even honestly tell you that because yeah, they're still capped. They have a certain amount of damage that they can go up by. So you got to look at that too. So I don't know if that's going to be I don't know if what's going to happen because those margins of HP might go up really, really high. I feel like bleed and burn might shoot back to the forefront again because I mean, dog, like when I say like bleed and burn, we're basically doing that one-shotting type of stuff. Like because you had units that could proc a ton of bleed or burn, and then you had detonators. So that was like kind of the thing too. So I don't know. I mean, granted, it easily can go that direction, but I presume they might implement something that won't allow us to necessarily just be one-shotting everything right off rip. But I mean, people always find a way, so I wouldn't be surprised. Am I one-shotting like a 16 or 15 right now? Not really. Am I doing crazy damage though? Yeah, I got chunks that I can take off, but it's not necessarily a one-shot. But I guess everybody's definition of one-shot, like you talking about like full send clearing, like, because some bosses got like 3 HP bars. so that's the thing, because like Ogrim, I gotta see if anybody's one-shotting him for real, because Ogrim got that stupid phase where he starts healing himself. Like he like literally starts healing himself. So you said and for consistency for debuff, I was lucky to get really good epic titans. Yeah, epic titans, rare titans, like rarity of titans, it's relevant, but like not in the same breath. Like it just depends on what they do and do they fit the invoker you're giving them to. Because even in like high elo PvP, nobody's like dudes are running around with rare Titan setups right now. Like they're clapping people. It's like you're torturing yourselves. There's a thing called re-rolling. You don't start gacha games without pulling a legendary hero. Yeah, this game doesn't really support re-rolling, if I'm being honest. So you could try to spend probably the 90 hours re-rolling. I mean, really, that's just not. I have to be honest. You're not getting pulls at a rate for. Yeah, Kirito, you've been re-rolling since we started playing this game, which was almost 9 months ago. So you have 17 accounts. I'm not doing that. And I'm not going to tell people to do that just simply because it makes zero sense to do it. Like, you could sit here for 90 hours and reroll and get absolutely nothing. 30 accounts ain't any better, kid. Though. It's not. The game, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against rerolling. It's just they don't have like the way that the summons you get, the way you get them, they don't support it well enough for you to really be able to get value out of doing it. And then even when you're looking at the summons that you're going to get, you're not going to get any orange summons for your reroll. You might get a Destiny Star. And let's be real here. At what is that chance? Is here. Yeah, at what is that? A 0.53% chance. Somebody do the math on what your odds are on that. Like, what are your odds are? Like, like that just sounds painful. Like, like me personally with no boosted, like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I would say you're better off maybe re-rolling for a really good epic. And if you get lucky and a legendary is a nut roll, then sure. But yeah, pushing for a legendary is that's rough, dude. And I will say, like, yeah, you eventually do get the legendary anyway just from playing. Like, I'm not gonna I like in Kirito, like I'm telling you right now, Kirito has done probably close to hundreds of rerolls already. And absolutely not. I would never recommend in the current state, absolutely not. I would not recommend that. I don't even think that that's a healthy or good use of time. You're better off just playing at that point, getting to your first 5-star just naturally from playing, and then just progressing like that, and then starting to stock and save. Like the game just fundamentally doesn't do it. Like it doesn't have it doesn't have a good system for it. You said I put the best reroll ever done. Then you guys would play for months and still won't have a count on par with mine. I mean, it doesn't work like that. like the thing is that, like, even if we were talking about some subjective progression in like somebody's account, I mean, all it takes is one pull. Like for example, my account, my last 4 legendaries, and this is RNG, right? Because you have to remember, you can start out with a solid account, but there's no telling on what you're going to get. So you could be super sweating on trying to get the best start ever, and then I just progressively am playing, and then I just pull the characters. Like my last characters that I've pulled, all top tier, by the way. Tasia, Sebastian, let me think, who's the other one that I pulled? Thao Bernard, or just Thao. Who's the other one that we pulled? Thao. Got Aspral. And then I think that was the only other ones that I got. But point in case, that took my account from basically where I was just running around with like Gladstone and freaking Colodons. Those were that was the last few legendaries that I pulled. And there's other guys that are popping summons like gumballs, and they're still not getting those characters, right? So that's kind of thing. Now, granted, I would love to have like a Skolos or something like that, but I ain't rolling in summons like that. But point in case though is that like you can easily go from like my account started out where I had Colodon, which Colodon is decent for. He's actually pretty good for like campaign and like Spire and stuff like that, but he's not the best for bossing, right? So I played through with that account, and then my account is fine now, right? It's like, so your RNG can easily go like this, or your RNG can easily shoot down, and then the next few legendaries, it could be a dupe even, it could be something that you really don't need because you already are clearing that area. So right now we're all in the learning phase of the game together, so I'm not playing myself. I just like their streams, but when you intend to make a real start, I strongly recommend it. I will say that becomes more of a recommendation when there's a system that suits it. Otherwise, that's just pure pain. Like, okay, how many of you guys have done so many? And I used to be an avid reroller. I easily would put 120 something hours into rerolling. That's like I've been doing content now for almost a full decade. And a big part of my content, some of my highest tracking videos were reroll guides, right? But I got to the point where I realized I was putting so much time into rerolling that I was not even playing the game. And those are with games that have systems for rerolling. So like I said, I'm not necessarily against it. I just don't think the game supports it well enough for it to make sense. If you're going to do it, hey, rip your own eyeballs out. That don't got nothing to do with me. That got nothing to do with me. But I'll say, the game doesn't support it. Now, if we go to global launch and there's a much better beginner progression for you to be able to have more things, like say it's the pre-registration rewards, you get more things to kind of make a reroll make sense, then that would be something that absolutely would be beneficial, right? Like if you start out where it's like, even if you could start out with a multi right? That's not the case in this game. You don't even get a multi to start out with, you know, pulling on, like, say, even just Destiny stars, right? So that's why I said it's like the game doesn't even support it. It just doesn't support a reroll. Like, I couldn't even make a reroll guide that would really not sound painful. It would be really painful. It'd be like, yeah, get that one Destiny star after playing for 3 hours and try to hope and pray you get a legendary. Like, that just sounds crazy. Like, yeah, I wouldn't even do that to people. But like I said, if they have it to where there's more rewards, then absolutely it would make more sense. Get the best start that you possibly can, you know, and get the character that may, you know, push your progression the most. Because even for argument's sake, like the best start you can possibly get would be pulling a LD legendary. But in reality, you're not getting a Radiant star anytime soon in your account. Like that's just not going to happen. You got to play a little bit before you get your first Radiant star. And so that even that is not a thing that you can do. So it's like, again, it's not me trying to be against it. It's just that I've done so many progression like processes on this game. It doesn't support the re-rolling like that in that way. Like in some games, they'll start you out with 30 pulls. Other games may have like an infinite, like a guaranteed legendary infinite roll in the beginning or something like that. So those are the things that I'm expecting. We might see something along the lines of that, maybe towards like the launch and stuff like that. But as of right now, yeah, it's slow. It's definitely slow. You say you needed to have an insane amount of time and a crazy hardware to actually reroll here. Yeah, and that's what I said. Like they kind of set it up to where it's just not conducive, you know? Like, so again, there are some people that like, there's one guy that got super lucky. I mean, a few people even, they got super lucky and got like Skolo starts and stuff like that. But they're probably like one out of X amount of people. It is possible to, you know, out of your Destiny stars to get a legendary, you know, earlier in your progression. It is possible, but yeah, it's a whole thing. It is a thing. You said I wish we got to choose a 5-star Obi-Wan. I feel like they're gonna do that on the launch. That's what I feel like would be a good idea. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but that would be cool if they had that as like one of the kind of like campaign or global launch things in the beginning. And then you're able to actually, you're basically able to get that, like, say, as like current players, we get that retroactive or something like that. That would be cool. Yeah, that I think would be pretty cool. You said not everyone has that Vulcan reroll commitment, dude. But even then, Vulcan does it on games that typically have a system where you're getting some reroll. This game has no reroll anything. Like, good luck. good luck. Because it's not even so much about the commitment of it. It's just that, does it actually make sense? Even if you were getting a multi, it would make more sense, but you don't. You don't even get that. You said, what do you mean the launch? Is this not officially out? If so, when's the global release? No official date on the global release, but it's currently in an early access open beta. So it is not global launch yet. But the accounts and progression and everything you do is non-wiped. So you keep everything that you basically do or that you get. You said, I will reroll with one pull. Yeah, that's so painful, dude. Like that is just so painful. Starting over for one pull. That just sounds daunting. That's just daunting on a 0.53% chance. Yeah, I like, sure. Like I said, I don't knock it, but oh, Clutch, to answer that question, no, they're not gonna reset anything. It said there's a black guy in the Tassia faction that looks nuts to me. Are you talking about Sebastian? That's yeah, Sebastian. You say you wanted Sebastian? Tassia is good. Sebastian's different though, right? So, Sebastian is going to be he's going to be the character I would say that basically lowers your gear. Tassia is more of like a she's more on the other spectrum of sustain. Sebastian does have sustain in his kit, but he's really there to lower your gear. Crit damage, crit rate buff. He has the best crit rate, crit damage buff in the game. So yeah, that is that. It said, what do you use, Jim? So I go over 1K. I don't know where to go for it. I personally, if I'm talking about like what I normally do, I usually use gems for energy, or if I'm getting close to like finishing something, like some people will use it to like to get summons to like finish off, like if they're closer to pity. I wouldn't normally say to do that, but I definitely would say like energy, the multi battles currently, because it kind of make you, and then trying to think, is there anything else? There's something else I use it for, but I can't think of it right now. You said, love your content. Keep up the good work. Yo, I appreciate that, fam. Thank you for stopping by. You said, I hope they will get a PC launcher. They said it's in the works, so I'm assuming we're going to get it at some point soon. Sebastian is black. What are we talking about? He have locks too. Yes. Sebastian is a good character, dude. Yeah, he's definitely a good character. What you say, is that not gonna piss people off? Will there be separate servers? I think we might at most, because I asked about this and they said that they're not going to do like separate servers. They said, I think at most we might see different regional servers. Like when they do global launch, they'll probably have like campaign Korea, China, and like Japan. They might have to do separate servers for that, just simply because of the laws that exist in some of those other countries. Like in China, they're gonna have to do certain things that they may not be able to do. Like for example, the things they may do on our server, they may not be able to do that on like a Chinese server. Certain aspects of monetization may be different. Publisher can change. A lot of people don't think about that part, but like, yeah, that's something that kind of happens when you enter into different territories like that. And China has a pretty strict construct with how they formulate their games and stuff like that. And to be honest, in this structure of game, a lot of these games don't actually do resets like you probably might be used to with Eastern games. These are like more Western European devs, and most of the times, like if you look at like Raid, they didn't do a reset on the server or wipe. Watcher of Realms didn't do a reset or wipe on the server. They just did regional based servers. The thing when it comes down to like catching up and stuff like that, I mean, really the main area of affection is going to probably be more than anything arena. More than anything. I depending on how they do clan, it might be a thing too. But yeah, these style of games that usually go for this format of event structure, they usually don't wipe. And that's just me not saying that, because trust me, when I came into the space, I was like, to what I'm used to seeing, it normally is multiple servers. You'll usually have like a separation for newer players coming in. But just like there's the good to something that you could perceive, there's also the nuance of what could be bad on certain things. Because there's always the other spectrum of it, where it's, if we're creating all these other servers, we're isolating or alienating these other players as well. So that's the thing that's kind of rough, I feel like. That's why I don't. It's like I'm becoming a game dev, but it's like I don't want to be one. And that like because of that part, like that's the part where you have to make tough decisions, like that. And there's a lot of nuance. It's not just one sided where it's like there's all this benefit. Why aren't you doing it? There's also the fact that you've had X amount of people investing time, not only time but also money, into something before there was even traction or more people coming in to, you know, kind of have interest or show interest. So it's like, do we alienate those people and like kind of burn those bridges because we have new people coming in? Like, so there's always a nuance to it. So whatever they decide to do, I personally just got to be okay with it, because for me, I like the game, I enjoy it, and as selfish as that sounds, you have to make experiences more about that, to be honest. You said a full wipe would be so much more fun, in my opinion, especially while there's PvP and clans in the game. A full wipe would be cool, but not in the sense of RNG, no. Nobody wants to repull a super rare legendary LD. I know I don't. I don't think a lot of people are going to want to go for that. Like, if you start now and you got a crazy nope. And the problem is that if there was like rebates or something, even then, no. Like, yeah, I just pulled that and I spent money. Nah, I don't want to reset. Like a lot of people aren't gonna want that just because I already spent money. I already got like it's already X amount of time. You said full white with a rebate. The thing with that, you have to state that from the beginning. You have to tell people you're going to be giving them a rebate from the very beginning. You never ever, if you don't want your game to just die, you never ever have people sign up and start doing things with the notion that they're going to keep something and then come in and say, hey, we're going to give you a rebate. If out of the thousands of games I've ever played, rebates are always mentioned early. You never mention them halfway. That's from any company. If you want to just put a nail in the coffin, mention a rebate after you already told people they could spend money, and they've been doing it. Like, you can't do that. Yeah, there's not even actually, and actually, I think there may be some stuff that they can get in trouble for doing it that way, because at that point, it's kind of like a misrepresentation of that entire premise of you jumping in and spending money. Now we're gonna just say, nope, you can't do it, and we're gonna give everybody a rebate. Yeah, I think at that point you're gonna have some problems too. Usually most games are very clear on rebates. They tell you what are the percentages, right? Like you need to know what are the values, because you're spending money, how much do you get back and where does it cap? Those are the things that you have to keep in mind with rebates. Because if I know that I'm only going to get X amount back, I need to know that as a player so I can know where my thresholds are on where I stop spending. Most rebates are not unlimited either. So you said the rebate thing is tricky. You said bound to piss people off if said rebate is judged to be insufficient. That's very true. Like it's that's why I said I'm becoming a game dev, but I really don't want to be one because there's so much nuance that you have to think about, and there's like I feel like no matter where you turn, there's always going to be people that are either satisfied or unsatisfied with what you do, and so that's why I think like you really do have to make it. For me, at least, I feel like each individual player, you have to make it about what your wants and needs are, because if it's based off of the collective, there's always going to be something you may or may not like. More so than others, and vice versa, right? So I just hope that EA players keep their massive advantage / progress. Doesn't affect the potential population. It's my first day on the game. Looks dope, but no wipe. You said is rough. I mean, to be honest, like that's the thing that it's one of those things where what they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to really push us up, because here's the thing: if they have people that are playing like super long term versus others, like people will eventually probably catch up at some point. But the spenders is like a whole nother thing, right? Like the high elo spenders, I don't even touch those guys if I'm being honest. So there's always gonna be that pay gap, where if you're spending, there's that. But if you're not, you're never going to be around those guys anyway, because those guys are like, there's one dude right now. Shout out to O-Nose, man. O-Nose is going crazy right now in PvP. And I know I can't touch that dude. He has like a level 69 account. He might be level 70 now. And he's one of the highest leveled accounts I've seen in the game. Like I know for a fact, and I don't even think he's one of the older players. Like I think he just sprouted up out of nowhere. I know he going crazy right now. Like I know he is. Should I realistically be beating that guy? Probably not. Like not with what he's dropping on the game. I doubt it. Like it's just like he's going crazy. So he said as long as you don't meet the soft launch people, it's fine. Otherwise, it's dead. Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying is like they're gonna have to push our gap. Like we shouldn't be getting grouped up with you guys. I think they'll probably have to do something within the system where like certain tenures we don't get grouped up with you guys in events, but we can easily exist on the same server. We just wouldn't need to be matched up with you in the same locals and stuff like that. Because I mean, we would absolutely be destroying people just simply off of tenure, right? Like that's definitely one of those things. So I think that if that's something that they have in mind, which they kind of showed that they do, I think they might have to tweak it a little bit so it maybe gives a little bit more extended time. But yeah, if there's a separation and gap to where you're not seeing those players and they're pushing up, they open up. Like right now, we only have gold, I think 3 in arena. They're gonna have to open up arena more. You know what I mean? So I don't. You said the other one is one of the game gods. Better avoid him in local leaderboard. Yeah, yeah. Like okay, point of case. Like I'm not even joking when I say that. The one right now. And okay, so the one is currently in our soon to be clan. Yeah, he's level 70 right now. Like dog, this dude, shout out to the one because this dude will straight up drop like hundreds of thousands of points on leaderboards, bro. Like, and I'm like, if you see him on it, it's guaranteed he's gonna be at the top. If he's in your local group, you're not winning that local group. like, yo, I'm telling you, like, and he'll start the event late too. He won't even be the first one. I had a couple of globals that I was running, and sure enough, the one just was there. I actually think the one might have been one of the first people too I seen get Roxy, which is one of the newer LD legendaries. So yeah, I mean, like now we're talking about these events aren't even on chases, and he still dropped. He dropped 150k points, which is literally that's literally 50, 60,000 more points of grinding than the next person behind him. And then the next person after that drops another 30k, right? So these aren't even like chase events. These are events that are just extra rewards. And he's dropping those types of points on these events. So on chase events, yeah, he is dropping crazy points on us. So yeah, like these are the guys like I absolutely get. Like, yeah, you don't want them in your local as a newer player. I think also too that'll probably be the thing too. They'll definitely I would think because they added it for the events, they'll probably tune it better so that it's more of a bigger gap on level, like minimum level requirement for you to not get matched up against those guys. Because like most of us that are at those points were really saving up resources really well. I would say we're at like the higher 40s to like maybe 50s where we have like a good chunk of stamina, or not stamina, but resources, like stocked. We're in a good place in most content, still probably struggling in a few areas. But yeah, at that point, you're in a pretty like, I would say you're probably at end game around that point, if not like early end game. And you know, by then you have the ability to probably do a good chunk of Spire. I would think even with the implementation of clan stuff, we'll have to kind of see, because that's another thing. We don't know how that's going to look. So I will say a lot of what's happening right now is that, and I think that that's why they don't want to punish the players currently in that way, is because we're test dummies for everything right now. Like even the events, like if you guys are coming in new, we haven't always had events. This was our first cycle of events. We didn't have events prior to this. It was literally Tyrannus was the game's very first chase, period. Like it's the first legendary that you can get from an event. The very, very first one. So we didn't even really know what to expect in this event rotation, to be honest. Like I was sitting there, we were all sitting there kind of trying to figure it out. There were some bugs on the event. There was a lot of different things that happened. So like they're going through the process now, retallying points and doing a whole bunch of other stuff too. So hopefully it all, you know, over time would just get better, you know. All right, let's do that. Let's fuse up trader. Do. Thank you. And boom. And then what do we need here? We need, okay, and then we need that. So we'll do the trader. We'll do 8 on that, and then we'll be done. And then we have, I think we have enough to fuse up. Yeah, we do. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then the next star, which would be my last one, I need 5. We have that already. So we're pretty good. We just got to get the, arrow stuff. Yo, wait, you didn't know that, bro? So you're telling me I got to make a video about that? My bad. Okay, I'm gonna make a video about that. I didn't even think about that, but I only started laughing because I'm seeing you say it, and I'm like, dang, I don't think I've ever said it. But yeah, you can fuse them up. You could. It's a trader. Yeah, that's a pretty important thing. Yeah, you don't need to have the direct drop. You can fuse up. He said, I assumed the trader was a shop, so I never clicked it. No, it's fine. It's fine. At least you know now. Because you can trade, trader, I should say, any of the resources in the game that you need for Ascension. So that's including the crest. That's including runes. Let me see here. Boop. Yep, runes, right? So you can do your runes. You can do your trader on the essence. Yeah. That's that. And then like EXP doesn't have a trader, but what it does, like if you're like selling a whole bunch of commons, it'll just progressively build up into the higher pots depending on the amount of EXP you have. So that's what EXP does when you're gaining it. But yeah, trading up. That's the move at this point in the game, because like realistically, like I'm still having, because some of the further out stages I have to do what's it called, I have to do hard mode, because I can't do insane mode of certain stages for the higher tier rune drops. So by force nature, you have to fuse up. So unless it's like the first chapter and you're doing an Eldrin, or second chapter for probably most accounts at this point that are pretty new, yeah, you're probably doing hard still and fusing up. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take you out. I kind of want to throw her in here now. See how she performs. Got her sustain, Humi. Wind is weak here, so we'll take her out. Let's do here. Or actually, Cosmos 7. Let's try it. You said, yo, what's up, Nix? How you doing, fam? You said, would you recommend to get, or who would you recommend to get as a first fusion? Should free to play do it early? You could start thinking about like having your stuff allocated. Like if you're getting the characters, hold on to those characters. Like start getting things like situated. The legendary that you absolutely like undoubtedly are going to do is Matesu. That's the dude with the guitar. You're absolutely going to do him. Gladstone, you're not going to do Gladstone, but one character that a lot of people will go for more than likely is going to be Ruthos. He's one of the epics that fuse into him. Ruthos is one of the best epic tanks in the game. So he's one that is definitely worth considering getting at some point. But as far as the legendary itself, it's going to be Matesu. If you're looking at the other ones that don't go into a legendary, you have, trying to think, I think it's Yasuya or Yasuya, I think her name is. She's a healer. You have Kalis, that's really good. Zarak is actually pretty solid as well. But I definitely would say top prio out of the other fusions are actually going to be Kalis, are going to be... Kalis is actually not bad too, but I would definitely say Kalis is good. Is definitely top prio out of the epic, because she's also a light unit, light range. I'm trying to think who else is. I gotta look at them. Yusasa, I think is her name. I think Yusasa is her name, but she's a healer. She's really good if you're in need of heals. Belmore is the rare dark tank. Stoneheart, he's really good, and you can fuse him a little bit earlier, but he's gonna help you a ton in progression with like doing like your Spire. I've seen some people even take him into some early arena and stuff like that too. But he's definitely gonna be really good for your Dark Spire. But yeah, as far as the legendary, it's Matesu. You said I see you having you fuse. No, so that's the crazy thing. I didn't fuse him. He was my first legendary on my account. So I hit the pity on my legendary pulls, and it gave me Matesu. I mean, in this game, in most other games, that would be like the worst case scenario because it's like, well, I could have fused Metesu, right? But the luxury of this game is the fact that you can use more than one character of the same character, right? So I'm gonna still do the fusion, but it's no rush per se for me to do it. Like I have some of the characters for it, but when it comes down to me having to do it, I already have them. So when you're looking at the content in the areas that he's just gonna crush, Water Spire, he's gonna end up being your main damage dealer there for most people. Althar, he's one of the gods of Althar. And it's primarily because he has a lot of the things that you need for it, like mechanically. He has the tolerance, the exact tolerances you need for Althar. And you said, what's the first pity for a new account? It's 50 pulls. So what I did was I actually kind of sped it up a little bit because that was the thing, right? So the way I was looking at it was if I could get one legendary out of, because I did start the account during a chase, which the timing of when you start your account would definitely change how, much quicker versus not quicker you'll be able to do certain things. But because I started the account during a chase, I was still getting crowns, and new accounts get like way easier thresholds on those chase events, right? So I still got about 70 crowns. So in the total time frame that it took me, I had probably earned about 40, like 38 actually, 38 pulls on my own. And then I got the remaining from crowns. And then I hit some of those first time mileage rewards in the quest. So I was able to finish my summons there. But yeah, right now I have 2 Radiants, 4 Destiny Stars. This is after me hitting the pity. So I got a little bit over now that I'm just kind of holding on to. But my pity should be back at, let me see, where's it at? Yeah, it's at 0 now. So yeah, I hit that threshold using the crowns. I know everybody else probably went for like legendary books and all that stuff, but eventually I'm gonna get that. You only realistically could only buy 2 legendary books. So I was like, for me, it was like, I feel like I might as well buy, I think I bought, what was that, 7 or 8? I think it was 7 Destiny Stars. So I could push myself closer to my pity so that I could actually know what it is that I was going to be building. It just ended up being Metesu. And so now at that point, I can actually now start to save for some of the chases and stuff like that. Because as my account is, I really don't need to pull for anything else at the moment, right? Like I have a good chunk of things to work with. I got my 1 legendary I'm going to be building. I got my epics that I'm working on, which if we look at, we just allocate it this way. You look at my epics right now, I have some pretty decent ones, to be honest. You said, do we know when global is or how can I access? If it is in your Play Store or Apple Store, Jern, it's going to be accessible in your region. That's how you'd be able to access the game as of the moment. But global launch, they haven't given us a official release date for that. You said, do crowns wipe or can you save for another chase event? So crowns technically get used automatically, Pablo. And Pablo, how you doing, bro? It's been a while. I just realized who I was talking to. How you doing, man? They technically get automatically used. So each chase, you're basically going to have X amount of crowns required to get the character, and then the respective crowns that you earn per local, and then completion of the mileage event for the chase. So there's basically a few different ways that you can earn the crowns. But in our next, I don't think it's the next one, but I think the one after that, they're going to be adding more events to the chases so that we have, I'm assuming it's going to be for more breathing room because we didn't really have the best breathing room this first time. Again, for experiment's sake, it was our very first one. So sometimes I don't read the names, Lonzo. That's all it is. Like I'm just talking to you guys, and then I'll read what you ask or what you say. But I looked at the name and I'm like, wait, that's Pablo. But you said, wait, you got about 50 crowns and could choose 1 divine star. That gave me Ruthos day 4 today. See, I mean, that's good though. I mean, the divine star was good. I was just thinking of it in terms of my pity. The divine star, I still would have needed about 14 more to hit the pity versus I was like 10 away on the divine on the Destiny. So that was the reason why I did it. But again, that's the game. You're gonna make decisions according to where your account is, because some people, they started their account a little bit earlier into the event. So they were actually there were actually some free to play players that started fresh accounts that got Tyrannus. Like, I started my account a week left, and that's a 3-week event, right? So, like, realistically, there was no way I was going to get them. I just didn't have enough time. And that's what happens. I mean, any game, if you come into a game and you come the last couple of days or last few days of an event, you're probably not going to complete the shop or get everything out of it. That's pretty normal, right? So I wasn't really too fixated on getting Tyrannus per se for my new account. I was actually more fixated on getting my first legendary and speeding that up. So at least out of the event period, I used the crowns to help expedite a process versus, kind of getting nothing out of it, I guess. So I almost got him to, in 6 days, I had 70 crowns. Yeah, bro, like it was very doable if you did start earlier. If that was the thing, like, because the local events, they were like 1/3 of the points that we needed in endgame. Like, so I'm over there doing like 27, 30K plus events. New players over there got to drop 6K, 7K points. I'm like, bruh, like, you can do, and what's crazy is that I did a lot of those events, not even trying, because I was just building my account. Like, I was over there leveling gear and hitting those gear power up, dude. I was hitting those thresholds like this because I was just leveling gear I had to level anyway. So, like, it was like stupid. I was like, dude, like, new players kind of got like, they really are going to have the better experience of those opening events because it's so easy to do them when you're just building your account. When your account's developed, it's so much more intentional because you're like, all right, I only got this much stamina. I only got this much, summons. I saved X amount. So you're really trying to be intentional. You're trying to even summon the specific amount. Whereas I'm over here doing the summon event, hit the summon threshold, and I was just throwing them summons, So yeah, it's it's definitely one of those things that comes with, new player to in-game, experience. But I feel like that should be the nature of it. Like, newer players coming in, the experience should get better over time. It should be easier for them to get into it. That's one of the things that that's one of the things that kind of aggravates me with like how raids events are. When you're a newer player, like, yeah, you get the login unit, but a lot of times if there's a unit that's like up for grabs on that, you kind of want to be able to have the opportunity to get it if you have the time. But there's a lot of times they lock you out of it. They'll put you on a whole new player event and then keep you out of doing those events, which I thought it was kind of cool that you had the welcome event, but then you were still thrown into the regular chase events. So you were able to get so much value. Like, that to me was like really different from like playing like raid and then playing this event rotation. It was like, okay, that's kind of cool. You could do your new player welcome event, but you're still able to contribute those same things you're doing anyway to the to points for you to be able to put that towards the crowns to, like I said, for some people, they were able to get Tyrannus too. So yeah, more power to those guys. So yeah, now I work towards progressing, trying to save for the next chase. Yeah, that's currently what I'm working on right now. Yeah, so like I was saying, like with this account as of the moment, like epics wise, like a Galad, it's not bad. Seth is like decent. Zoxaskun, that's what her name is. She's a fusion character. Really, really good healer. Serene, really, really good single target nuker. She's like, Serene is a very, very strong character. She actually carried my account in damage in a lot of areas for a while. One of my first direct damage DPSs that I actually built. Very selfish though. Ultimate mana Jhin, right? Like that's her thing. But she does have a built-in crit rate and crit damage up buff, and it's actually pretty solid once it's leveled. And again, she's ultimate mana generating. Like that's her thing. She wants to hit you with this crazy multiplier, which is like yeah, that's her. Now, if you look at most units don't have a almost 1,000% attack multiplier on anything. So the fact that, like, if you think about this skill is with no gear and no level investment and no ascensions, she has 2,200 attack with nothing on her, like on a hit, like that's hitting pretty hard considering she has nothing. Like, so that hits really hard. I think on my main account currently, I have her at almost 20,000 with that multiplier on her ult. It's at max, and that's not factoring in if she crits. So like that's the thing. Like she got some pretty nice direct damage. So the only thing I will say though is that she's definitely not one of those characters that you're taking into like a group fight. She's very, very, like, I think all her abilities actually are all single target. So she's definitely by design a bosser character. You look at like, she got the tolerances for like Sakael, Koltomos with like being able to take out those towers and stuff like that. She can do Ogrim pretty well too though. She can. It's the only thing that annoys me about the game. It says the excessive pop-up packs, but I can live with that. I do play Raid. Yeah, I'm guilty. I was a well on Raid. You know, guilty. Yeah, I feel like that's the thing too. Like when it comes to like pack pop-ups and stuff like that. I get it. I can get the nuance of it for some players. For me personally, it like those things like in most games just don't even bother me anymore. Like I don't know if it's like a desensitized, I'm desensitized to it. I just don't see them anymore. Like my finger goes to the X button so fast now, I don't even see it anymore. It's just like, oh, that's there, boom. It's not, right? But I will say that like for me, I'm pretty good when it comes down to like what I'm willing to spend and what I'm not. So I know like if I want to spend, then I'm going to spend no matter what. I don't care what pop-up pack you're going to spend or you're going to put in my face. But if I'm not going to spend, I'm definitely not going to spend. So it doesn't matter what you do. So I guess it's kind of that. It's to each person. I feel like it is definitely very different. Not as crazy, I guess. Like it is a thing, but it's not as crazy as I've seen in some other games where like literally every interface, like, oh, I'm going to go look at my Invoker. Oh, wait, I got a pop-up pack. I just went to go look at my characters. Like, yeah, when it's like every little thing you do, it's like, all right, dude, I feel like I'm getting harassed a little bit. But other than that, though, that is that. Let me see here. But yeah, I guess, yeah, that's really that. I need to actually, okay, what were we doing here? You said so much energy and no multi-battles. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, that's another thing, too. Like, I'm hoping that does just become a automatic feature. If not, you know what's going to probably end up happening? We're probably going to get something like, are you familiar? Because you said you play Raid. Are you familiar with RSL Helper? I feel like we might end up getting somebody that makes something like that. I'm gonna be real. That's probably what's going to happen. Because think about how long it took Raid to get a damn... a freaking multi-battle, auto battle. And it's like, you know, it's still where it's at. But yeah, somebody might just make it like an RSL Helper. Like I mean, like honestly, it's gonna be Invoker Helper. Help us, please. That's probably what it's gonna end up being, dude. So that's why I get it when people are mentioning it, but I'm like, dude, we're probably gonna end up getting something like that. If not, if they just change it all together and overhaul it. So what team would you recommend for a beginner? It depends on what you have. Like, I mean, you have your starter, right? Which your starter is out of 5 units. I recommend Celissa or Danos. I feel like you really can't go wrong with either one of those. I would say, you know, when you're talking about team, it really depends on what you get, right? Have you started playing? Like, did you like pull certain things yet? Because there's like options that you can get for free just from farming. There's options that you can get, from what's it called? From logging in. Yeah, there's fusion units that you'll eventually be able to get access to. So your beginner team, like for mine, for example, was the starter character, Humi, which is a character. She's really good. She's a character that you get pretty early. She can drop on a stage, so you can like actually farm some of those earlier stages a little bit, and she has a chance to drop. But she's a great character, attack break, defense break, pretty solid damage. And then she also does damage off of debuffs on targets, so she's pretty good for that. And then I was using RTU. He's a starter character that you get. Bolus the Bull, he's a starter character. So starter characters are pretty like valuable to help you push in the early game. I'm starting to get to the point now where I'm not using my taunt tank as much. I'm like just kind of now building into my damage and supports for the most part. But I will need bullets for things like PvP and stuff like that for right now. It's like, yeah, I have used RSL, but I don't know anymore if you play enough raids so you get enough multi-battles without paying. Yeah, no, I know now that's why I said now it's where it's at, but that was what it was before. And, that was kind of a thing that they had for years where it's just use RSL helper. But yeah, now it's definitely much better. So yeah, the fact the background multi-battle, yet you can't do anything while it's going, it sucks. Yeah, that was one thing I gave for feedback. I feel like at least for multi-battles, we should be able to at least do like arena, because I can get like some games, they don't want you doing like a ton of PvE all at once with the multi-battles, but I definitely think like when it comes to like, say like even if it's like not even like so much gear farming, but like when we have clan content or when we have with arena stuff like that, the infinity dungeon mode, it would be cool like if like you could have your multi-battle going and you could get some of your other daily stuff that you need to get out of the way, like if you want to do your arena runs and pushes, because I know like per day like I'll drop like 50 arena entries, but like, and realistically in time, that could take a little bit of time, right? Like, especially depending on like how your day looks, right? Like some people have the ability to sit in one sitting and do that, but some people don't, right? Like it might take you, depending on how it's set up, the whole day to get rid of 50 tokens. And so they've been giving us tokens in that way. And I'm like, dude, I got to burn these so I could be regenning. And yeah, didn't like tower too. Yeah, tower should be separate as well. I do agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, because tower is only your 5 keys. It doesn't require any energy. So yeah, that would be, yeah, that definitely wouldn't be a thing I'm against at all. I definitely would love to see that. But like funny thing is that when I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't even think we were gonna get multi battles because when we had originally asked for it, they said they couldn't do it. So that was kind of that. But then they ended up giving us it. So yeah, now I guess it's more so about the refining of multi battles versus just getting it. Because yeah, we didn't have it originally. Now I'm thinking about it, we didn't even have multi battles, which is kind of funny. But yeah, now it's more so about getting it. And now I think about it too, that was crazy when I'm like grinding, because we only had that what is it called? Like, like when you swipe to turn the brightness and stuff down on your screen, but the game is still kind of like going. That's all we kind of had. You said also need auto climb for a campaign. What do you mean? Like you mean like auto? Like it's a you talk about like an idle game? We don't got that much campaign, Pablo. Like you just got you're gonna have to click it a few times, and then after that you just auto battle it. You don't got that much auto. You don't got that much campaign to auto climb, bro. And then more than likely you're probably gonna be stuck somewhere. It's definitely not like, I get it, because I feel like that's like more of a reference point from like Dragon Traveler, but like, campaign, it's kind of that's the chapters. It was like 9 chapters, and then once you get into Insane, it's like a crazy power spike, so you're gonna be stuck anyway. So yeah, it'd be really cool to play arena in parallel with background battles. So I did managed to finish all arena tournaments because my background kept running on top. Yeah, and that was one thing that I definitely, like, for me personally, I had getting in the way as well. I wasn't able to finish it in the way that I wanted to. I did one rotation of arena for the because God, that was what, 40K points. I am glad though they did address that was a little bit much. So they did say that they are adjusting it. So we'll have to wait to see what that adjustment's going to look like, because I don't think we can see the points just yet. So we have Arena Rush coming up again on the 7th. So we'll be able to see what that adjustment looks like, because yeah, that was like, and I was in gold too. Like, so gold was like, I think I only was able to do that first rotation because I climbed from bronze all the way into gold. So I was basically accumulating points and clearing pages even that entire time. But there were some people that did it in gold the whole time, which, like, unless like you were just one of those guys that's like slapping people, it was funny because there was some accounts that got into gold and they were like, dude, I don't even think I'm supposed to be here. Cause like it gets to a point where like realistically the group of people that's in gold isn't that big. It's not that big. Like if you refresh, you're gonna refresh into the same people. And so you get to a point where at that point, you're now like not really gaining as many points because the people there, like let's say you found one person you could beat, it's that one person every refresh and or 10 gems that you use to refresh. So it was one of those things where it's like with more players, it's not going to be that bad, but in the current state of the game, you just don't have enough players for you to really rotate arena in that way. Like, on a global launch where you have hundreds of thousands of players on the game and everybody got to counts go, like you'll be able to get arena runs in and go crazy. But with the player base as is coming from the closed until open beta, and then you still have that smaller group that's sitting in gold. It's definitely a little rough, I would say. So I was surprised I was even able to manage doing that one rotation. Let me actually go to Coltimos, put this on auto. So we're at 228 on 7. That's not bad. That's not bad. Coltimos. We could try. Let's try this one. See what we can do. Oh, I haven't been in it yet. That's why. You said put a one-man defense in, then it's easier to climb an arena again next morning. Well, so here's the problem that came with that. So we had a bug during the tournaments that made it to where if you were doing that, you weren't visible to other people. So we were cooked. We were absolutely cooked. We were like changing our so. We had a bug actually, and it wasn't just from the tournament. It actually was something that they didn't realize was a thing, but a lot of us noticed it more because we were doing the tournament. But my defense before like probably this week hadn't been hit for 2 weeks. So we were kind of cooked. Like I was sitting there like, and a lot of us were experiencing that. Like people had their defenses, they weren't getting touched, and they were putting the one character, nobody was touching their defenses, and come to find out, they just weren't visible for some reason. So it was a bug that was making our accounts not visible for some reason. And so they had to, patch and fix that. So yeah, with the event for our first rotation, it was a lot of fun bugs that came with it too. So yeah, it was that's why I said it was a first experience for the devs and for us too, because we had no idea what was going to happen, and a lot of stuff unexpectedly happened. Even up until the end of the event, like people had an issue with claiming their crowns, and so they were working on fixing that, and they had to manually fix that too. So yeah, it was definitely a test phase, I would say for sure. So the trick with Coltimos is range DPS only. I personally like to run range. Like you can run, at least I'd say you can run like one melee comfortably, or if you have that like 1 or 2 range that are running, they need to have good damage. I like to run range just because they can all spread out and get rid of the towers quicker. Otherwise you need like a unit that's nuking them. That's why like I mentioned Rainbot Serene, because she was just like over there one tapping those. Like that's how, like, I mean, she's pretty self-sufficient in that way. Like she has her own crit rate, crit damage buff, stuff like that. So she didn't need anybody else to be buffing her to be able to do damage. And then with an ult where she's generating, her abilities are generating ultimate mana, and then she has an ult that has a 999% attack multiplier. She's one-shotting stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, in this case and scenario, my account also just organically became primarily ranged units. I don't even think I have one. Oh, Metesu. Metesu is my only melee unit I have right now. But yeah, Coltimos is definitely like to be able to even interact with those crystals, it has to be being hit by range units. So yeah, they show you like a little tutorial in the beginning of it. And yeah, range units are the ones that can hit those. Melee units be getting cooked on them. So can you like die, sir? All right, so that's not bad. 314 on stage 8, so that's pretty doable. That's not bad. We had one character faint. We could deal with that. We can absolutely deal with that. Let's see here. Yo, what's up, Antonio? You said I would like to start the game. How free to play friendly is it? So in my opinion, when it comes down to like campaign pushing, like dungeon pushing, game is pretty free to play friendly. You could push into end game with rares and epics. I would say the only area which typically tends to be the area in the game that is gonna be pay to win to some degree is gonna be arena. Arena is very, very, very pay to win. And that's just because it's competitive. People are going to have their maxed out units with maxed out titans with, that's where primarily most spenders are putting their money towards, is to go crazy in PvP. PvE though, it's more of a time metric than it is anything else. Like epics can, like some of the best epics even, or units, I would say for some of the dungeons are epics. Some of the best units in the game are epics. So yeah, it's one of those things where like campaign progression push for dungeons and stuff like that is pretty free to play friendly. That's kind of why, like, even for my push, I'm kind of showing like the value of these lower units as I'm pushing up in content. But then definitely, like, of course, like in legendary fashion, legendaries with investment will start to outshine characters. But, even before then, it's cheaper to do to build rares. Epics are cheaper to build than legendaries, as you go up, right? But yeah, that's the nature of the game. When it comes to Titans are pretty free to play friendly in the sense of usability, not accessibility. So what I mean by that is that if like you have the respective Titan for somebody in their class and it's something that fits, or faction, sorry, and it fits their specific thing that you are trying to amplify, it does not matter if it's a rare, epic, or a legendary, it is going to work. Even in PvP, some of the strongest Titans are rares currently. Like some of the best in slot. Also, that and there also are cheaper to build. But yeah, some of the best in slots for some of the stronger characters, like Nerval, for example, like her best in slot currently right now is a rare. And a lot of different units, you'll see them with like rares. Some of the Titans that are just generally some of the better ones is Latria and Volrix, which are both two rare. One is a Magi and the other one is a General. This is the free Titan that they start you out with. Is really, really good. You said RTU is putting in their work for you. Hold on, I have to watch that again because I didn't even see what damage he did. He does, and that's the thing, is there's this misconception that R2 just, you throw him off, and part of what I usually have done in my other series is I'll just take him off the team, but that's because I have gotten something else. But yeah, he could put down damage. Like he's definitely going to be a viable character. Granted, of course, if it turns into disadvantage, then you start getting beat up. But you said you got a 6-star yet? No, I did not 6-star anyone yet. That's actually what I'm currently working towards. Kind of going through my missions now. I'm finishing up my 3 units at 4-star Awakening. And then I'm going to be doing my first 6-star, which is going to be Matesu. And yeah, that'll be basically that. So yeah, building up the food for it, which I got a good chunk of EXP for it. I should have, if not like 70%, yeah, like 70% of the fodder I need to do it. So yeah, I like wanted to save everything, but I might wait until after I do my first 6-star. And yeah, 6-star Matesu is gonna absolutely clap in so much stuff. He actually might end up being my my unit I use for solo farming too, for a bit as well. Yeah, she's actually doing some pretty good damage on those totems. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's like you want to get rid of those because he has a self-healing factor that comes from that, which is pretty annoying to deal with. So him and Ogrum are just, I'm just like, why? But on my main account, I still run Thao on my Kotomo. So Thao be slapping Kotomos like he stole his lunch money or something. So he like immediately goes into these next phases. So thanks for your explanation. So I'll start the game and watch your videos for tips. Yeah, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to stop by. You know, we're in the official Discord too. I do moderate in there with some other great individuals. We got Oh No's, we got the homie Lou, Waffles, and then the community itself. You could just ask anybody a question in the new player tab, and they're gonna be more than happy to help you out. Huh? He said, what's the best way to farm books? Tower, events, arena. Tower, events, arena. Currently. Clan stuff might shift that. I don't know what clan stuff is going to be dropping. We know that we're getting 2 different clan bosses, but I would assume that could also be a area of access to books in some way. But yeah, those are the main ways: events, arena, and tower, spire is what it's called. You said, is it true with 50% chance? Wait, 50% crit chance gear, Thal has 100% chance? I don't know about that. I mean, oh, you're talking about because of his crit rate buff. Yeah. So technically, he gives himself a 50% crit rate buff. Yeah. If you have 50% gear on him, he gives himself a 50% crit rate buff. Yes. I was like, wait, you talking about some conversion? yeah. Thal has a 50% crit rate up buff in his kit. So yeah, if you build him 50%, and then I mean the rest can go like attack and he says, so you always crit? No, not necessarily true. There's things that have crit res. So crit, you know, so there's some people that will build a little bit over, so they'll stock a little bit more. It's one of those nuances where like his chance of critting is higher, but like let me actually show you this. It's even easier. Yo, what's up, Holy Killer? You said, is this open or closed? It's open. It's an early access open beta. Let me see if I can find this. This is always like a good point of reference here. Is it in here or is it on bosses? I think it's on the bosses. Hold on. So this is let's see. It all kind of depends on what you're fighting, but nope, it's not this. Where's it at? Might be in the interface for the boss itself. Okay. Here we go. So, if you didn't know, I'll probably have to make a video on this too. Yeah, depending on what you have him hitting into, right? This also will still apply if you're doing arena and he's hitting into a character where he is disadvantaged. You're gonna have it's like a form of crit resistance because of the elemental disadvantage. So your crit gets lowered when you're hitting into something that is disadvantaged. So that is one of the unfortunate things about RGB is that, right? So your damage is reduced, debuff application chance is reduced by 50%, but also your crit is too. So when you factor that in, there are going to be some areas where Thal isn't Thalin, you know, because depending on the attribute, that's something that he's going to be dealing with when he's at attribute disadvantage. So there's stuff like that that you have to factor in. But yeah, it's also like a pretty interesting relationship too into LDs. With them having, or with them going into it, they don't get nearly as much of a reduction, but yeah, it's still a reduction. So LDs are just kind of neutral, and they have advantage over the rest of the attributes in the game. Yeah, it's not like a massive buff, but it's still 15%, 15% more damage and 10% debuff application. And so, yeah, I probably need to make a video on this because this is a little unique. Well, it's like standard, but also unique in the same breath. You know, says usually there's just a light and dark relationship where light and dark trump each other, but they actually also have an advantage over the RGBs. So that is a really unique thing. I don't think I've really played too many games where they did that specifically, but it does exist. So yeah, that's that part. He said, anyways, Tassia should be built like a wait, hold on. You said, would there be a way? No, I don't have a link. It's just accessible via the Google Play or Apple Store. If it's showing up there, it's in your region. They used to do things via link, but since they opened it up in more regions, they don't have that. It was like an APK before. They don't have that anymore. No, it would not be a wipe. There would not be any wipe of any sort. You'll just be carrying your account, your good old faithful account, into the launch. You said Tassia built like a DPS attack scaling. If that's what you're referring to, she is. That doesn't necessarily mean you're building her like a damage dealer. You're building attack values into her. If you're looking to scale, like her heal, for example. So it would be kind of like what we talked about with like Thao. Like you still want some bulk because she needs to not die, right? You're definitely gonna want some way to keep her, alive. But yeah, she's definitely gonna lean more into the attack values. Yo, what's good, Mighty Zoo? How you doing, bro? You said, are you on NA? No, we're all on a shared server right now. So I'm on the same server with guys in France and people in Belgium, and I mean, I don't even know if people in Belgium are playing, but we're all on the same server. We're not separated by NA, JP or anything like that as of the moment. So let me see here. Okay, so that was that. You say you like gaking baguettes? Hey, whatever floats your boat, fam. That just sounds funny. Hey, listen. Hey, whatever floats your boat, fam. That's funny. Okay, so all right, we got to get those arrows. I think we'll just do. We'll do cold smells. Oh, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see how much damage R2 is doing. I just never looked. Yeah, let's see. We're running, and then we're running auto. I feel like I keep leaving here because somebody asked something, and then I gotta like show it because I'm just a visual explainer and learner. So yeah, I wanted to see how much damage he was doing though. And this is why, dude, those tolerances. So you see how I just had that phase where I got stunned. Yo, dude, and the higher floors, like those tolerances will have you sitting there for years, or non-tolerances. If you don't have them, you'll be sitting there for years, trying to have waiting for the ability to cool down. Like it is not fun, and that actually ends up becoming what we call it's basically missed damage windows or missed damage opportunity because you're just sitting there, you're not doing anything. And that's why like DPS in this game is not outright just damage per second on a constant hit. It's really those other factors that kind of affect your damage. Like how often are you able to hit in X amount of time in those burst windows versus if you have the tolerances. Like some of the characters that have tolerances, they're hitting basically the whole time, you know? You said starting an LD only account. How viable do you think it is? You're gonna spend a lot of money on that. If you're trying to do uncommon LDs, I might help you in the earlier game. I don't know how sustainable that'd be full-fledged end game, and that's just honest truth because I haven't tried to do a full-fledged uncommon LD push. But yeah, that's gonna cost you a little bit. To be honest, if you're trying to do full send, I'm gonna do an LD account. That's gonna cost you for sure. There's like even some of the spenders. There's only like a few people I've seen with like LD legendaries that are their whole team is a full send LD legendaries. Like that cost. That means that they went through 200, potentially 200 guarantee 4 times. Like, so maybe they got lucky on one, but yeah, that means they went through 200 pity rotations 4 times with Radiance. So yeah, yeah. I don't even want to think about that. Like, I really honestly wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know. And I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 people that's like that. You said, I learned from Raid, been saving everything. Everything's sitting on 50 mil plus gold. Wait, you said I learned, learn from Raid, saving everything, sitting on 50 mil plus gold. And star and orb count is nice. Yeah, like to be real, the most value I got. So I waited for them to add events into the game, but the entire time, I basically saved even my fusion. I saved my fusion even, right? And of course, like you said, that was like premeditated experience from Raid, and playing like games like Watcher of Realms and stuff like that. So I just kind of like waited for all that. And so this rotation, and that was with free to play currency, I was able to get 3 legendaries out of it. But it was because I waited and I kind of bided my time. So this chase, I got the Tyrannus, I hit my pity, and then I was also able to get I did the fusion for Metesu. So I like kind of was looking at it from that perspective too. Is like you're gonna have to try to make things or angle things in the way that's gonna give you those massive power boosts on your account. For free to play, like right now, doing some of these events, you might do a couple if you're already like kind of farming them, but like there's no chase up right now. So even with this account, I don't care about any of these events right now. Like none of them. Oh, I was supposed to look at his damage. I think you did 116k damage though, so that's fine. That was actually pretty solid. But yeah, I'm not like going crazy unless it's something I'm already doing, and then I'll do those, and then I'll get whatever kickback I get from doing the thing I'm already doing anyway. Because over time, like there's still a good chunk of things I got to earn for the first time, still challenges, stuff like that. But yeah, it's so much I still got to do for the very first time. I'm eventually going to get into that process. Like with no events, it took my main account months to get to where I needed it to be, like in terms of end game. I'm like, with events, I don't know what the exact time is going to be, right? Like it took me a little bit to actually get my account situated. And that was with no events. We had nothing going on. There was like, I mean, shoot, we didn't even really have as many of the units we have now. So with those changes and stuff like that, now we're in a little bit of a better predicament. I kind of want to use my Radiance to see what LDs I get. Because, dude, if I get Nervel, I'm like, that's like pulling a legendary. Like, really. Like, truly and honestly. Like, if you get a Nervel, that is pulling a legendary. Hold on, let me show you guys. Right? So, if you... Wait, you said, but I'm enjoying myself with the games. A really nice surprise when I found out Zoxaskun is champ. Yo, I appreciate that, fam. Listen, I'm one of those guys. I'm like, if you're here for the first time, I'm super drama free. I just be trying to enjoy the game. I try to make sure you guys enjoy the game. That's it. That's really it. I laugh a lot. That's one of my character traits. It's just like all I do is laugh. But let's see. I think it's new player rewards. Nope, it's not this one. It's the other one. Daily rewards. Okay, so let's talk about these champions here, right? These lovely invokers. So what's really crazy about this, right, is that your 30-day one is Goshu. Now, Goshu is actually really good. He is actually a really solid tank. Now, the thing is, though, okay, there's a chance you may get something better than Goshu. They might change him out. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. The next one you get, and this is why I said, like, for me, my account is just kind of funny because it gave me all login invokers. So Seth is great too. It's a little bit more in the damage spectrum, but he does have like willpower in his kit, which is great for blocking control debuffs. Generates Titan mana based off crits, extension of buffs if he's critting as well. Like he's very much so a damage dealer, melee damage dealer. That's what this guy is, right? But when you get to 90 days. You get this character called Nerval, okay? If you get her earlier, this is easily one of the most broken epics in the game. And I'm not even joking. So broken, in fact, that on my main account, I pulled her twice, right? Or actually, no, I got her a login bonus and I pulled her again. I built two of them, right? I built two Nervals. Like, I mean, like full build, like two Nervals. Like, that's how good this unit is. So, what she has in her kit, because there's a lot of things that she does, but the things that you really are going to get from her that change the game is, number one, she can revive, okay? But it's not just the fact that she can revive, because they could have given her like an AoE revive and that would have been busted, right? That's what Virtuous has. They gave her an AoE unkillable, and then they also gave her a 30% crit rate up buff in the same skill. Now, the thing about unkillable is that unkillable buff makes it to where you could have 1 HP and you're not gonna die. That could be anybody on the map. They about to faint. Nerval's heal goes off. They're still trucking and doing stuff, right? So that's the thing about her that's like insane. She's very, very, very insane just because of her one ult. But then you get some of the other areas of expertise that she gets. She gets a heal with a nasty attack up buff. So she's just insane because the heal also is something with her too that is just going to be, it's just going to happen. Like her heal is always just going to be going off. Her accuracy weaken increase, so she can buff, increase the amount of damage that a opponent is taking and decrease the chances of them landing things on you. And then she also has a heal reduction, which goes up to 55%. Now, granted, that's fine, right? But the other thing is too is that with this, it's going to last 7 seconds, decreasing the size of all heals received by 55%. So it's like, even though it's only 55, it's still fine, right? Because you're still getting all this extra value. She had it 100%, that would be kind of busted. I'm not gonna lie. If she was able to just slap somebody with 100%, that would be busted. But yeah, Nerval has all that stock value, and then in the areas that she works in, she still can work in Althar really well, Yaskara, which is pretty annoying to do, but she does work there. But she easily is going to be one of the most game-changing characters on probably 99% of players' accounts. And then also one of the characters that helps you break through the ceiling you might come across in Spire. So yeah, Nerval, if you get her early, this is equivalent to pulling a legendary. I just want to put that out there. Like she's that good. So after that though, you have Serene and then you have Red Riot. So Serene, like I said, is really good. She's a selfish character, but she is like through and through a damage dealer. She's a nuker. Like I said, multiplier is kind of insane. That's a really high multiplier. So she can do quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, though, you do have like disadvantage that you have to factor in. So that's, of course, the areas where she's just not going to shine. But anything single target and like bossing, she's going to do extremely well, right? So Serene, Railboat, pretty good character. I personally built her, took her to 6-star, Max Awakener. She's great. The other character, the next one at 150, and I honestly wish you would get Red Riot a little bit earlier. Probably I would say before Serene, because Red Riot is game-changing too, specifically for Althar. But Althar is such an important place for you to be farming. Like she's such a good character. You don't really get a lot of great AoE characters, but she's a great AoE character. She has Hexen Block Revive in her kit, Ultimate Monogen. You also have that reduction of cooldowns for herself on her A3. And then she has an AoE in her 5th hit on her combo, and then you have an AoE in the ult that also helps reduce her active skills. So, of course, that's if she's critting, but she's absolutely a monster of a unit in Althar, especially if you're like starting to get overwhelmed. She's gonna mow down like stuff like it's nothing. I would say probably up until about stage 14. Stage 14, you'll need an alternate damage dealer, but then after that, she can come back in and do damage because she actually is the advantage unit going into 16. So she'll be able to work into 16 too. Now the next character we have is what is his name? Daslo or something like that. Yeah, Tassilo. So he's trash right now. But they're actually when they dropped the patch, there was some news of him getting buffed that was in that patch. And I think they dropped it by mistake, but now we all seen it. So they're like, hey, y'all seen it now. So he's getting buffed. So he is going to be pretty nasty. I think they're giving him, was it like, I feel like it was like damage reflect or something like that. Which damage reflect is quite a scary thing. Depending on the value of how much damage they can reflect back at you, damage reflect is going to be a pretty nasty thing. And I think, of course, it's kind of suiting that he would get it. But yeah, he's going to be able to get that within his kit. So we'll see what he's looking like after the adjustments made to him, which I think is also pretty cool that they were like, you know what, we're not just going to let him be bad. We're going to make him good. Next character, of course, is the boy at 210, Alexu, which is, if you get this guy is great, right? I would even say right now, he might be one of the hardest hitters, if not the hardest hitter right now in Arena, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, this guy like just straight up can blow up a whole team. Like it's kind of dumb. A lot of it is how he scales it's the number of debuffs that you put on a target. In PvE, he still does fairly well as well. He said, lies, Lonzo, you're still in early game, so you're not getting the full-fledged value of him. That's why if you notice, think about where they place these units at. They put him at 210. You're only like 2 weeks in. Like, it's a day like 210. Like by then you should be able to really build him, to be fair. Like 210, that's crazy amount of time. The next one they give, though, she's actually one of the newer units, Amia. She has a pretty good ult. I think she's kind of landed herself in like one of the top sub DPS roles. But she has a gimmick basically where she's able to increase her damage by 100% if the target is a boss or a mini boss. So they kind of give her the self-healing and this damage increase against bosses and mini bosses specifically. She has an AoE for freezing, which is really nice too. Attack break in her kit, and then she just has some general damage in her A1. And then the very last one is at 270, which is the boy, the infamous and the one and only Thao. Okay, Thao is easily one of the gods of the game. He just blows stuff up. He loves to hit you with hammers. Yeah, this dude, very, very powerful. Very, very strong character. Pretty self-sufficient when it comes down to increased duration of buffs. He gives himself up to a 50% crit rate up buff, which is what we were just talking about. If you give him 50% crit rate, in most scenarios, he'll have 100% crit. And then he also generates ultimate and Titan mana if he crits. And then he also will do that as well in his ultimate. And so being able to like proc or spark Titans doing damage, he's like through and through a damage dealer. But he does specialize in being able to like help you with your sparking of Titans. So he's a really, really good character in PvE, really, really good character in PvP. Yeah, really, really good character generally. So he's probably, for most people that are going to play long term, if you're just that unlucky and you don't get any powerhouse unit, he will be like the first like crazy stock powerhouse DPS you'll get. I know some people are hoping, like even I'm still hoping I get a Devi at some point, but maybe there might by time I almost might get Devi, there might be another unit that's maybe strong, just as strong if not stronger. So who knows? But yeah, the free logging units are actually like all collectively are pretty good. Yeah, they're all collectively pretty good. You say you put Red Riot last month. She was my first level 60. Yeah, so Red Riot level 60 changed my Althar. I was stuck on Althar like 11, 12, I think. And then I was able to shift up quite a bit once I got her. And yeah, she like having the block revive with the Hex built in on the AoEs is such a nice extra additive for a unit, to be honest. So yeah, she's a great character. She's a great character through and through. Let's see here. I'm gonna how many do I need? Because I might drop down a floor if it's gonna take longer. Trader 64. How many does that give me? 6. I need 15, 15, 30. Okay, so 45. Yeah, I need a lot. Yeah, I need a lot to finish her. So yeah, we're gonna have to let that do its thing, I guess. Let me see. Do we want to swap accounts so I can do some of my daily stuff? Maybe. Maybe we might. Maybe we might. We might just do that. Yeah, we might just do that. Yeah, we might just do that. Okay, so let me see. All right, let's see. We'll swap devices. Let's do that. And settings, profile, switch. All right, and then, oh wait, I should have swapped here first. No. So how many revivers in this game? 4? I think it's 4. There's 2 LDs, no, 3 LDs, 1 RGB that does it as of the moment. Hold on, I'll see if I can show you it. Hold on, let me swap my account. Yeah, I think it's 4. I think it's 4. Virtuous, Nerval, Tasia, and it's a rare that does it too. All right, let's see. He said my tummy's cooked. Be right back. All right, no worries, bro. Be safe. Be safe out there. My man's. Hope it's not too bad, bro. Hope the stomach's all right. Let's see. You said should I build Sabby? Should you build Sabby? I mean, you can. I mean, does she bleed though? Hold on. Let me see. Dude, why does like I need to fix this so it doesn't keep rubber banding me. Yeah, she bleeds. I mean, she's all right. I mean, you're gonna get to a point where you'll probably use something else, to be honest. But yeah, she's fine to use. I just wouldn't go crazy with like trying to skill her up and stuff like that right now. But she'll definitely still help you with like Dark Tower and stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't knock her. Wouldn't knock her. Let me see here. Give me 2 secs, guys. All right, now can I log in on here now? And it's not gonna keep swapping, rubber banding me? Is it worth doing Belmore early? Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can do Belmore early and be fine. Yeah, you could absolutely do Belmore early and be perfectly okay. Let's see. Boop. Okay, there you go. He said I'm building Humi up a bit. Humi is great for progression. She actually is a good character. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, I gotta do my dailies. My dailies on the main. Okay, so let's see here. We're not doing any events right now. Let me put this on auto because this account just needs to do. I just got to do the arrow, and that's boring to watch. So let's claim that. We'll do this, do that. Auto battle. Have a good one. But yeah, Belmore, absolutely worth doing early. All right, cool. So, all right, what do we need to do daily wise? We need to do Bonus quest, PinTX. All right. Multi and we do 5. I don't know why that made me think of that Subway song, that $5 footlong song. But hold on, let's look at Sabby real quick, because you were, what is she? She's Nocturna? Yeah, Sabby's Nocturna. Yeah, so bleed, pull, move speed down, weaken. I mean, it's decent. Like I said, I feel like this is still gonna be great for like doing your tower push. She could definitely still be damaged there. Yeah, attack scale. Bleed on Althar. Wait, you said no worries, Luna. If it's fine because I didn't see it. You said sorry for reposting. Do you recommend one gear dungeon in particular to farm over the others? Not really so much in the early game, because like right now, like I'm like that's what I was talking about earlier. It's like I'm kind of right now, even as we speak, I'm kind of like still campaign gearing my characters. I think once you shift into gear, the way I did it originally, I did some Ogrim first. I did a little bit of Ogrim, just to kind of get some of those base ones, maybe get a couple of better pieces. The one thing I will say, though, about doing it in the respective order, if you have units that have tolerances, having tolerance gear is actually really good. Tolerance gear is actually like, you're not going to hear a lot of people saying like, oh, go get tolerance gear. It's gear if you have a few pieces and you can equip it to those characters that have those tolerances, it does help them tremendously. The higher up you go, tolerances do become more of a thing, and not being affected by, like, say, for example, the crush effect is like such a big deal, because you're not sitting there not doing anything for however many seconds you're stunned, and the higher up you go, it becomes more. So yeah, crush sets are or crush sets, the tolerance sets are really nice depending on if you have those characters. So if you get a couple of pieces like that or for that, then that's great. Crit, of course, is still going to be a really solid one. Attack, but the thing is that those pieces you can get from general stages. Like, most people, they're not able to, like, your chances of, like, say, for example, getting a crit rate glove is like on a crit rate set. Look at how many pieces of gear there are that could drop in here. It's like that, and then the piece itself dropping out of the number of gear slots. People just at that point would just go to the campaign stage and saying, or even if they're just doing it with 4-star pieces, and they'll just go to the crit chapter and get crit get crit gear, because it's just so, like, even some of the top players currently, that's what they did. They went and they got their crit gear from the campaign stages, and it makes sense, because it's like, I can guarantee I could drop 1,000 2,000 stamina, not get one gear piece for crit. That's a crit glove, right? That's so isolated out of all the sets that are here. Versus I can take a fraction of that, a third of that energy, and I can go right into campaign and farm a base gray crit piece, and now I have my crit rate, right? The substats may not necessarily be where you want them to be, but a crit rate, really the rule of thumb for all pieces of gear, if it's a higher rarity piece, even if it's a gray piece, it's still better than the predecessing piece. Unless it's like crazy substat rolls on legendary 4-star pieces, a lot of times those are going to end up becoming trash. Like, as soon as you get that higher piece, a lot of times you transition into that next one. I definitely would say, I feel like for me, the real like shift in my account gear wise, Althar, because the sets that you kind of like, and again, argument can still be made for accuracy set. It can still be made for is it crit damage you can get? I think it's crit. From campaign you can get too. But Althar definitely made a pretty big shift in my progression, because in Althar, what you're getting too is you got the skill speed set, but then you also have the whatchamacallit set. Oh, wrong one. Boop. You have the vampire set. But the same argument can be made for these. I could just farm, if I really need to make my farmer, I can just go get sets from campaign. If I really need accuracy, I can just go get that set from Campaign. So really, the one that ends up being the one that most people tend to, especially at endgame, they dump a ton of stamina into. It's probably going to end up being Sakael, right? You got the Voodoo set, which is actually pretty good on certain characters. Predator set, still very viable and usable on a lot of characters. A lot of supports use Fury set and the Mana set. Those two sets are very, very good. There's a lot of characters that even do damage that might be mixed mana with something else. It just really all depends on what you're building. But yeah, I mean, the argument for like building certain things from campaign and then you go into author, like the main thing that you're looking at when you're trying to farm, it really identifying what characters you're building. And this is the general consensus I've come to, at least, is that it really depends on what you're trying to build. What is their build? And then are you trying to get higher valued pieces for that specific build? So if I know that the character I'm building, their best in slot is crit rate and, I need attack pieces, then I'll probably be an Ogrim because I want to get legendary 5-star pieces at that point so I can raise the potential substat rolls that I get. So I don't think it's really so much of like, oh, this is just the better dungeon to farm. It's like, well, what are you building at the moment? If you're fixated on characters that need more of those types of sets coming from Sakael and you're trying to ramp those values, then you need to be farming Sakael. If you need to do tolerance sets and you're trying to look for a specific tolerance, it really just depends on the boss or the character that they correlate to that respective boss's drop. So, if you're doing the tolerances that are needed for Althar, you got to farm Ogrim, right? And then vice versa. If you need the tolerances for Sakael, you got to be in Althar. And the thing is that like, it's really different because a lot of games do typically will push you into like a gear dungeon. It's like you have to farm that one. But Althar for me was like the one that I really put a lot of time into, really trying to get better vampire sets. And then once I got enough of that on some of my damage dealers, that's when I shifted into Sakael. But I kind of bounce all over the place. Sometimes I'm doing Althar, sometimes I'm doing Sakael, sometimes I'm doing Ogrim. I feel like they all have value. And it always goes back to like the general stance too of like, stat scaling. Like attack and HP stats have no cap, right? So when you're looking at even Ogrim and farming better HP, like if you're getting legendary HP sets and or pieces and legendary attack pieces, those are great pieces still because attack or HP, they don't have like a diminishing return, right? So versus like some of the other values, like if you're going mana, there's only but so much mana you want to put on the character between the set and the, your trophy room and then rolling it as a main stat. Same thing with skill recovery, skill speed. Combo speed is not really accessible in many places, so you kind of want to get it wherever you can, depending, of course, on the unit. But then you also have, what's the other one? Movement speed is kind of irrelevant right now. Instinct is kind of irrelevant right now for the most part. You don't really necessarily have to have instinct. So yeah, it just really depends on what it is you need to do. So if you look at your units and you're like, oh, I need to be here, then I'll shift and start farming here. But it would really be more so about better quality than outright, I just need these pieces. Because the most, I would say, like value I've gotten from my initial push in most of my progressions have been from campaign. Like the energy that goes into campaign is just like not even comparable even to these gear dungeons because you get the drops of like EXP and gold, and then you can get wild stars to potentially drop. But if you're looking at it from what you can get from campaign, I can farm those pieces. And if like we're talking about my first pieces, I can get those first pieces in campaign, and then I'm also getting shards for summons. I'm getting for both Titans and also for Invokers, and then I'm getting the runes for a respective faction and Memoriam and gear pieces that I'm going to sell possibly that turns into either more gold or Memoriam. So, that's kind of the nature of the progression, I guess. Let me see. Did I finish these? Oh, you said I mentioned the trophy room? Okay, so that is arena. So trophy room and even mine, like, right, like I'm just starting to really get into arena, and I'm starting to really get those gold trophies and stuff like that. But I actually say this passing chase is where I really start to dive into arena. This is going to take you some time, right? But the thing with this is that this is going to be specific to each person's account. Which attribute do you focus first? It's going to be specific to your account. Like, what do you have more of that you care about? Like, who's doing the damage? Who's, like, so it's going to really depend heavily on what you're building on your account. But one of the core values that I know a lot of players are going to typically go for first, it would typically be attack. In most other games, it's combo speed in this game. So combo speed is really, really important to go for first, because when you look at, and it does not matter what you are doing, 90% of the time, majority of your damage is going to be coming from your combo attack. The only way you can increase the overall output, even if it's like, say, self-healing, if you have extension of buffs, extension of debuffs, it is going to be your combo attack. Right? Combo attack damage overall does the most damage. That's even over a lot of skills. You might get some crazy bursts from skills, but it's the most constant thing that is hitting. So combo speed, attack percent has no cap. So attack is always going to be good. And then some of these other values really just depends on how much you do something, like, for example, arena. What some people have done is, like, for example, they'll go after values that they can go that will allow them to alleviate some of the pressure of what they might have to actually focus on the actual gear build. So there's some people that's like, okay, I know I'm gonna get X amount of mana gen from the trophy room, so I only have to build this much on my gear build. Or I know I have this much accuracy coming from my trophy room for this specific attribute, so I only have to build this much on it. So that's also what you'll end up doing over time. So trophy room investment will change what your potential build mediums are going to be, because depending on how much more somebody may have this invested, it's going to change how much they have to really fixate on it in their gear itself. Or if they're able to just focus on completely other, values. So yeah, that's why if you see some builds and it's like, dang, that build looks super OP, if you see the person's account level and then seeing like, okay, where they may be ranked in arena, they might have a good chunk of their trophy room done for certain stats, depending on the player. You say you didn't know this room existed. Combo speed max makes sense. Yeah, combo speed is definitely, even when you're looking at other areas, you can get it. The only other area you can get combo speed from is one main stat roll that you can get. You can get it as a main stat roll, but a lot of the times, depending on the character, you're still looking for those other values to hit. So combo speed doesn't have a set bonus either. They may add a set bonus in the future, which would be kind of crazy if they do. But this is one of the only other places you can get it. Versus like mana, I can get mana gen from a set bonus. I can get, even Instinct has a set bonus. Accuracy has a set bonus. HP defense, crit rate has one. Attack has one. Crit damage has one. Like everything else has one. But combo speed, right? So yeah, that's like the grind I'm currently in, just trying to push that a little bit more, and then just kind of going from there. All right, we'll do that quest. Let's see, and these are let's do some arena. I guess I got to do it anyway. I'm surprised they didn't knock me out of gold yet. Like, and these guys, some of these guys in here are just crazy strong. And one thing I absolutely need to get, I need to get a front tank, man. I need a taunt tank. That's what I need. I need to build up a taunt tank because I'm suffering in PvP right now. But I'm still in gold, so we making it work. We making it work, but we don't got a taunt tank, so we just be taking all types of unnecessary damage sometimes. Like that Colodon might actually do my Tyrannus in. He's getting healed though. Oh wait, is my Thal in here? No, I need to throw Thal in here. You said last question for me. You typically, or your typical team comp is 1 tank, 2 damage dealers, 2 supports. Depends on the content. I'd say, oh God, it's like blowing me up now. Yeah, I gotta put Thal in there. early game it does is like your one tank for like it's one tank, it's two damage dealers, and then like one support. When you open it up to a 5 team, still the same format, and then you add an extra DPS, you eventually though get to a point where like a lot of content you're probably not running a damage dealer, you're running another, or you're not running a tank, you're running another damage dealer. The only time, like really the entire point of the tank is like kind of take off damage or aggro things. In a lot of cases, you could just run another damage dealer so you could deal more damage. Like, kind of seen that on my new player account. Like I took Bullets off and I'm running another Archer because I just want to deal more damage. The damage isn't so concentrated that it's only fixated on one person. The enemies or the bosses don't act like that. Like they're not gonna say, "Oh, this person's disadvantaged, I'm gonna target that person more." What they do is, if you're disadvantaged, you just take more damage if you get hit. But it's possible to go into something disadvantaged, and if you're playing manual, for example, you could just stay without, outside the radius of things, and things won't hit you, and you can still do damage. But on auto, you're bound to get hit by something, and it's just gonna do that scale damage to you. The only times that you really kind of care about like having that tank is if you need to aggro something, where there's a lot of enemies, right? So that's kind of the value of like tanks. PvP, I feel like tanks are like taunt tanks especially are like must-haves because you need to be aggroing damage off of the rest of your party. You definitely feel the difference between you and someone else that has one because they're just able to mitigate all this crap that you're trying to do to them, and they're putting all the pressure on the tank, and then everybody else is just over there ramping and doing their abilities and stuff like that. So the format does change. We are going to get tactics soon too. So tactics, with that being able to be invested and leveled up, is probably going to change a lot. That's gonna definitely change quite a bit of overall. I guess I would say like just general layouts of teams. What might be the best tactics is going to then be a thing because that's also going to be giving you different stat lines based off of positions. So yeah, there's a lot to factor in. That's going to be the near future, which I think that's going to be really fun. You said, and how about Lethat? You said just pulled him in my pity. He's a usable unit. He's not a bad damage dealer. I know he does fixate more on like burns with his ult, if I'm not mistaken. So he's definitely not a bad character by no means. He has like, I'm trying to remember if he's a Hex Block Revive character. Yeah, he does have Hex and Block Revive in his kit. Trying to think what else he has. Stills buffs, transfers. Is there anything else he does? Res down is really good too. Because res down, if you're reducing the res on something, it allows you to be able to basically with your accuracy, your reciprocated accuracy, you're able to land things easier. So yeah, he's a pretty solid damage dealer. He shortens the duration of buffs on targets too with his basic or his combo attack. So yeah, he's pretty solid. Definitely not like he's not like a Devi or anything like that, but he is still very valuable. He's still gonna help you push a lot of stuff. Burn, like I said, and it's just dots in general. They have like this dip effect in the game where the value of HP diminishes, so they don't get like the crazy in-game scale like they were before. But then when you get back into end-game, like the higher stages and even probably higher stages in the future, they're going to scale much better. Now with Bleed, I'm trying to remember. Bleed is HP based. Burn I think is attack based though. So there are those, and I think it's like mixture HP attack, but. Yeah, so yeah, that's just kind of that, but yeah, that's definitely a GG. Good. That's a good pull. I think between him, I really wanted Raziel and then Brandis. Those are like some characters I absolutely want to have because like I said, I feel like Burn is going to shoot up out of nowhere. It's going to absolutely shoot up out of nowhere. Like I say between probably Bleeds 2 might make a strong comeback depending on the content because I got certain units built that I just don't use anymore because it's not as prevalent as it was before. Like yeah, I miss my Bleed setups. Just deleting stuff off of Bleed was kind of fun. Not gonna lie. Let's see here. Boop. Yeah, like see even in PvP, right? Because he has that pull. You'll see him in PvP too. Boop. Go back. Doop. Here we go. So This is also kind of give you guys perspective on some of these teams in here. Like you see, like I've never seen that. That's interesting. But yeah, it's actually not bad. Yeah, see Raziel, they got the Lethat. That's like Burn City, Marilla, Aspral. Yeah, they got some Plaxi, Skolos. Dude, I'd be so like upset that I can't get him yet. Sneaky Pete having Virtuous is crazy. Yeah, like this team right here is toxic. Virtuous, Devi, Marilla, and Nerval. Have fun. That right there. And this dude has a level 60 Titan. So this is the other thing I was saying, right? If you look at like people's Titans, and this is account almost 60, right? 60, level 60. You don't see too many people running around with full team epic Titan layouts. You're not seeing a whole bunch of legendary layouts. You're seeing rares. You're seeing epics here and there. But you're primarily like, again, that starter that everybody gets and they're like, oh, that can't be good. Yeah, dudes are using that in high elo, like the 2.4K. That's gold too, right? That's a high elo PvP. They're using those Titans. And that's the first free one that you get, right? So yeah, that's like, one of those things. That's that. This guy got super lucky. Having a terror run is just insane. But yeah, that right there on. And look, this guy is a 2.3K in Gold Arena with a Belmore as his front tank with a terror run, right? And he's like, again, it's like the combinations is just kind of mixed. So sometimes you'll see stuff like this where it'll be a rare with a legendary or vice versa, whether it be the Invoker or the Titan. Now that's a mythic, so there's that. But a big part of that is that Titan generation to get that Titan to pop off, and then that's just Tank City. And it's some pretty good damage too. But yeah, still pretty high up in the elo. And let's see. Now we got the homie Jared here. Yeah, I just got to get some mine. Like they're already on purple stars. I gotta catch up with my Titans. That's where I'm kind of lacking a little bit right now. That is where I am lacking. Oh, hold on. Do this. Do legendary. All right, there we go. I'm gonna take Thal, or I'm saying Thal, Tyrannus out, throw Thal in. I feel like I might want the shock though, but nah, we'll go Aspra front line, and call it a day. He said need that Zox fam clan, dude. I'm currently in with my main account. I'll probably have it in the mythic, but I'll probably do my alt Zox fam clan because I'm gonna be maining 2 accounts. I just need that ult. Nice. My Nerval died though. Only good thing is Sebastian still heals. Victory. Yeah, Sebastian still heals. How much did he do? Yeah, like that. Yeah, like Thal does all the damage. Like they had 2 people hit 200K, and then Thal just hits 200K by himself, and then Sebastian still healed 168K, which is kind of insane. And I don't even need this Titan on him. Like this Titan is actually a little redundant because he has no abilities he needs accuracy for. So it's time to farm crit and crit damage gear for Scion. Dude, if you feel ready for it, I say go for it, bro. You gotta get your account strong, you know? Man, this might be one of those like debate teams where I get beat because he has a Skolos. This is like the annoyance of Skolos. Like he's so dumb. Like Skolos is really strong, dude. Okay, we got to our transformation first. That's cool. All right, cool. Yeah, if he had a better team surrounding his Skolos, he'd be popping off because Skolos is just like look at that. Like he was eating damage for days. Like that's insane. You said how much crit do you need anyways? Depends on the character and who you're pairing them up with. In most cases, you need to have about 60 to 70%, but it depends on the character and who's giving, if you're getting any buffs, if you have any investment in your trophy room for crit. There's a couple of factors that would affect how much you would specifically need. But if you're talking about like base and you don't have any crit damage buffers, do you, that you're using? So like ideally at that point, you would probably want a lot more, right? But that also is kind of like not a thing. So yeah, I would say the sweet spot is getting like 60-70% if you can help it. But oh wait, you don't have any 5-star gear yet though, so that might not actually be applicable for you. I'd say you said for Scion, does he give himself, he doesn't give himself a crit anything. So I gotta remember you're talking about Alexu, right? So man, I'd say yeah, because Alexu doesn't give himself anything. So it's kind of like more or less like who are you putting him with than anything. Let's see. Yeah, he doesn't give himself anything, so definitely would say like taking advantage of the defense break he has with the attack down is not the worst thing either. So yeah, I mean, it's a Scion does defense down and attack down, no buffs to himself. Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, you would still want to take advantage of that if that's your only form of defense break, because defense break makes a big difference in your run too. So you actually probably might actually go like accuracy chess piece on him for right now, so you can hit the accuracy threshold you need him to, and then the damage will be, it probably won't be full-fledged crit yet. Probably won't be full-fledged crit. It's gonna be his ult. Yeah. Combo attack and ult is pretty important. The defense break, of course, is a thing too, depending on the increment of not just damage, but also the amount of defense break you want it to be. I think it goes from like what, 20 to 30%. So yeah, I mean, the other abilities is like heal reduction and debuff extension. Depending on your skill books, you can comfortably get him up to like 5 or 6. And you can keep the skill. He's one of those few characters too that has an active skill one with something. So yeah, I'd say like 5 or 6. But it's also subjective on like what you do at this point with skill books. You could wait and just build him a little bit first and see how he plays as you give him a little bit, like little by little, versus like just dumping him into him and then you're like, I don't want to use this character. Because I kind of avoid doing that just in case if I'm like, I don't want to use this character. So I would say get the build going first, and then if you're like, okay, I really like what he's doing, I want to push this a little bit further, then you start putting some skill ups into him. And realistically too, I mean, you could do it now because you got to still progress. Eventually, it'll be like, skilling up only when there's like an event, so that you can double dip. But other than that, I guess. You said true. You used to have his skills 4, 4, 4, 5, 5. Yeah, like you could stay there. Like, don't go any crazy. Get the build, bro, and then go from there. So yeah, 69 shards. That put me at, was another 25. So that's 95 shards. We'll claim that. Claim that. We gotta do 2 more arenas. Okay. All right, yeah. So we're just. Yeah, so yeah, I would say yeah, that's fine for right now. Don't start like trying to use legendary codexes and stuff like that on them just yet. Because like I said, it's possible you could pull something else. You could want to invest in something else. You didn't get your first legendary yet though. Wait, bro. Wait. you need to get to your first legendary first before you start really going crazy on your books. Because at least at that point you'll know. Oh, you got Tasia. Okay, okay. So yeah, with her, yeah, it's just getting her revive, and then you can kind of coast with her for right now. Um, okay, yeah, you got Tasia, dude. That's not bad. She also is like has all the tolerances you need for Althar too. Like she's about to change my account low key because I was stuck on 14, so now I'm about to I built the stuff to actually go and do 15, 15 and 16. So I gotta 6-star her. That's all I gotta do for her, and I'll be good to go. Yeah, yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good with her now. So okay, that was your first. So yeah, basically, what it'll be investing in what you can for right now. But as you get closer to the next chase, if it's something that you are interested in, you want to probably start saving your skill books. A big reason to that is just simply because you can use that as points. So that's the only thing you got to think about, bro. Is like, oh, I can use this as points, or whatever it may be. So I probably gonna make a couple of videos about that, like just kind of talking about like saving points and stuff like that too. So that's what I'll try to get done today. You said that's why I started thinking about building science somewhat properly. Yeah, if he's gonna be like your main carry for damage as of the moment, yeah, you're gonna have to put a little bit of TLC into him. So yeah, that's not a problem because if you hadn't hit the legendary, then I would have said like wait. But you hit the legendary, you got Tasia, so you got your support pretty much squared away for right now, and you got a reviver, which is nice. So that would just mean, yeah, getting a reciprocated damage dealer up. It probably will be like your first 6 stars on your account probably will end up being Alexu and it'd probably be your starter that you picked. If you picked Danos or Celissa, I'm not sure who you went with, but probably end up being those two because you'll have your neutral DPS and then you'll have your you'll have that one damage dealer outside of that too. Which either can rotate as sub DPS or alternative DPS too. So yeah, it'll probably be damage dealers that you actually take to 6-star first. I would say probably your first few might be damage dealers, to be honest. So then afterwards, when you're starting to hit that wall of like, okay, it's my support that's starting to kind of dwindle, then it shifts into you're starting to 6-star some of your supports too. So little bit of grind, but yeah, you're at a solid spot now where you can start making some of those decisions. It's not the worst thing. Yeah, it takes a little bit though. Oh geez. Okay, I thought they was just outright generating mana faster than me. Ooh, let's see. Oh, they killed my Aspro. That's fun. Gladstone and a ton of heals. Ooh. Yeah, they got me. Oh, this is close. Oh, you don't have another Titan pop off, do you? No way you do. You do! No way. If they didn't have that, I thought I killed the person that had it. Yeah, they got me. That was a good fight. Good fight. Good fight. Good fight. Good fight. Good fight. That was a good fight. That was a good fight. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Power is a little deceiving too. It's not outright. Yeah, it's not outright what it is. Like you can get beat by somebody like 40, 50k CP lower than you. And it's just straight synergy and strategy. That's what makes this also kind of fun too. Let's see. I only need to do like, see, yeah, I was just saying, like, this was actually, I forgot about her. This was a rare I used in a lot of content. They went and 6-starred her. I was using her in a lot of stuff. So yeah, you can absolutely push with rares. Oh, hey, what's up, Miss Zox? How you doing? So she's like, hey, what's going on? Look, Lonzo, your number one fan. That see, she stopped in here on purpose, so you could see her. She not slick. She not slick, man. She stopped in here so you could see her. She knew you was gonna act crazy. Um, but all right, guys. What do I gotta do? I just gotta make some videos. Make some videos. I gotta go eat. That's why Ms. Zox stopped in here because she's probably about to ask, "Did I eat yet?" We've been streaming. Only been streaming about 3 hours, so that's good stream time. That's good stream time. We'll be back probably tomorrow. Try to get some videos done. Probably won't have a video until tomorrow though, so we can get the videos done. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys join the Discord, both the official and my own. Great places for resources. Tons of people that have different knowledge and perspectives and information to kind of help you with your accounts. So yeah, we're gonna try to, I'll try to make my streams a little bit more eventful. I wanted to do some summons, but we're saving right now. There's no chase up. There's like nothing. We're in a little bit of a down period. Those that are grinding events are grinding them, but other than that, that's that. You said, sure would have. I'm asleep. Yeah, see, she's like, what are you doing? He didn't eat yet. You said, what do I do now? Dude, I'll be around, Kirito. I'm a go get some food and then, yeah, I'll be around. The videos I got to do are like pretty simple videos just so I can make sure that newer players have that information. So they're not cooking themselves because, yeah, you don't want to over farm things if you don't have to, all that jazz. And I just want to make sure that content's out to kind of help them with building stuff and all that stuff too. So, all right, guys, you guys stay safe out there. Stay blessed. I'll catch you guys later. And yeah, do grind a lot and get stuff progressed. Yeah, absolutely. But all right, I'll catch you guys later. All right, guys, peace.